And greetings, everyone, and welcome to another week of what is this week? Friday Night Live. Friday
Hey,
Night
Friday Night
Live.
Live, Friday Night Live, Friday
Yeah.
Night Live.
And I am here with my good friend Kelosal. What's up, my brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing, sir?
Another week, another week. This is Colossal's. I think this is your video debut. You've always been in the background whenever you came on FNL before. You've done Soul Citizens on Sunday on camera, but this is your first time last time because you were like hiding out in the background last time.
Well, yeah, this is the first time I had the video link on a Friday, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
what second time I think on a Friday night?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's right. No, third time because you dropped in 2 weeks. We brought you in a couple times and commented because one time you were in the room with Nihilus and a bunch of other people. In another week, you just kind of sat in and dropped in and said some stuff. So yeah, it's good to have you
Yeah,
on.
I had to comment about Elite Dangerous. It's wonderful. Um, New step with Odyssey, I believe.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, we were talking about that. That's because we dig that. Well, Dig that was his thing. Is a little bit of Elite Dangerous. He's still into it, but yeah, it was a good conversation. So it's nice to have you on tonight. Tonight, the reason why you see 10 Sigma's name there is because 10 Sigma's supposed to be on tonight. I'm not busting my brother out. Something may have come up, and so we didn't have enough time to change titles. So I'll do that in a minute. So I'm not 10 Sigma. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, as some of you guys know. Kimmy, good to see you, brother. Nice to see you out there. And
Hey,
Sparks.
Kim.
Hey, Sparks, good to see you as well. Man, this week is like a real rough and tumble week. Last week, Kimmy and I were on, and there was so much data that got dumped last week, leading up to the birthday. So, Colossal, thankfully, you and we can kind of cruise through this week. We don't have all that craziness to talk about. But one of the things because there was so much stuff last week, and Kimmy and I both said there's no way we can cover all this stuff. But the one thing I did want to go back and talk about a little bit on was the letter that was written by Chris Roberts. But before I get into that, before we talk about the letter, give me your thoughts about 311. It's been out live now for a week. People are kind of adjusting to it. Any complaints you're hearing from people? Do people seem to like it, or what's your own feedback on it?
I mean, well, 311 is nice. I mean, your typical complaints are that your bugs are starting to show back up again, your canopies opening back up, and things
Mm,
like that, and so forth. I think they're doing some little fixes with looks like the PTU, I believe they put out today, um, so they can go ahead and straighten some things out on that. But for the most part, you got the stations now that have the ability to look at cargo. So I guess they're getting ready for the whole series.
mm,
You have the ability where now pretty much you can fight at the stations within a certain range. And the stations now have those turrets now that are available. I don't know if they're size sevens or tens. I can't remember that. I've seen a couple of people. I was in there today, and I saw a couple of people get popped over that PO, which was nice to see because I was kind of hesitant about it in this early iteration of it, when there were several people who were strategically hiding behind ships to try to have the station guns shoot the ship that they were firing. So that was a nice little tactic. But for the most part, it's interesting to see that. It's interesting to see the new graphics with the shadows and things that they're putting in there. You can actually, if you pay attention to the game, there's new audio as well, with a lot of ship mechanics. So you might want to, if you guys are that particular, you might want to check that out. I do love the fact now. We have to talk about this. Um, the things that they're doing around the anniversary, such as the Halloween mask that they put out. I guess the scary bears that they put out, and the new mask they put out, the Vanduul mask that you have to go ahead and go to Benny Hinge for that,
right.
and the other mask that they put out that you have to have at least 50 kills on that one. That leads to player reward, which is a very very good sight to see in the game. So there's a lot of things that they put in, and every time you play the game and then you get tired a little bit of doing the same things, and Chris Roberts just finds a way to just suck you right back in there and say, you know what, this game is enjoyable for those of us that play it, and there's a reason why we back the game and the reason why we back Chris Roberts to see that type of development, because this is a game of his dreams. It's not only just a game of his dreams, it's a game of all of our dreams, and I think a lot of us, that's why we continue to support the project and we continue to support Chris Roberts on this, because we can see what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we complain about it, CIG, I think you guys are doing a heck of a job, and just keep putting the content out there for us because your supporters appreciate it. They really do.
Yeah, that's a really good note to spin off of before we get into Chris's letter because I've always talked about the wave of positivity and negativity that happens within the community. You do realize that people get frustrated, right? A certain amount of time goes by, the expectations. It seems like the more time goes by, expectations rise, and then something happens, an update or an event, and we see that wave kind of crest back down, and I think it is because it's not that people don't see progress, but it's the fact that they just want to be able to play the game, and that's understandable. But this is a very unique, and sometimes people think we're making excuses, but it is unique. There's never been a game development process like this one, and like everything, right? When something's being done the first time, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be errors. There's going to be trial and errors. There's going to be things that we think that work well. Maybe 80% of what we push through does work well. 20% doesn't. And so we kind of forget about that, a lot of times that there is a trial and error with this. But I have to agree with you, CIG. You guys have, to me, each year it's gotten better. I know there are some people who may feel differently to that, but for anybody who's been around more than, let's say, 4 years, you remember what it was like. And if you've been around longer than that, it was the dark ages when it came to this whole thing, because none of us kind of knew what this journey was going to be like. If somebody had told me when I first started that I'd be still looking at this 6 years later, I might have been like, no, it's going to be out before that. But now I get it. I honestly do. So anyway, let's jump into this piece with this the letter from the chairman. Some of you guys got a chance to know Chris has been over the last month and a half, been putting out stuff. Some stuff's been on Spectrum. But when we did the birthday celebration last week, he actually wrote a very extensive letter. And he gave a lot more detail about the game progress. We're not going to go through the whole thing. Kelosal and I are just going to kind of give you our quick thoughts and overview of that letter. So Kelosal, why don't you go ahead and, if you want to start, if you want me to start, you let me know. I know you just got the chance to really browse through it.
Yeah, I'm reading every week because I'm a teacher, so it's one of those weekends where you try to go ahead and lax off. So forgive me, folks. I'm not a teacher today. I'm a little bystander of CIG's progress, so I may make some mistakes today, but that's okay. But anyways, I did see some things. I'm still looking at things that, in this letter. I mean, some notable facts. 300 million towards the crowdfunding. Its biggest revenue for in quite a while. 1 million new players, almost 1 million new players that he's got in going on right now. After 8 years of progress. Um, I mean, the things that I'm still waiting on. I mean, they talk about face over IP and how they've implemented that in game. That's wonderful. Where's that faceware product? We're still waiting for that. But but I mean, there's a lot of good things that they're putting in there. He's given acknowledgement to his 640 member staff that he has in five different locations throughout the world, including I believe two here in the United States, one in Los Angeles and one in Austin. And then so eye catch is a big thing that he's proud of implementing, and he knows that they're still working on that. These are some of the things that he's looking forward to working on as well. The ability to paint it at a scale and things like that. So I mean, there's a lot of things here that he's jumping at. Oh, you can't forget the one community video that he put out with I believe is Kimmy on that video. I believe.
Yeah, Kimmy's in there.
Yes, and our own Kimmy is on that video. Salute to Kimmy and anyway to represent. It seems like he's reaching out to the community and once again thanking the community, because without the community, this project would not be where it is right now. It's one of the few projects, if not the only project, to give us what it's giving us right now. I mean, it's the highest crowd-funded project ever. And you see the progress. So, and of course, along with that, you see the haters. Keep on hating, folks, because you guys are getting pushed back again and time in and time in and time out and time in and time out. And you know what? That's okay. You'll come on in. We'll
Yeah,
come in. The
we give
doors are
we'll
opening.
give them a little
You
time
can
for
go ahead and come
redemption,
on in.
right? A little time for redemption, right? I mean, if they want to
Yeah,
get in, this is the time. We might actually
yeah. This is
forgive
the
them and
time.
say, you know what, the doors are still open, like they say in church. The doors are
Absolutely.
open. You know what I'm saying? But there's gonna be a day
Yeah,
when the
come
door
in
might
dressed as
close.
you are.
Yeah, just come as you are.
Hey,
Yeah,
we'll
come
take
as
you
you are.
with Star
We'll
Citizen
take a little
because it's going to be
repentance,
a wonderful
a
game. I
little
mean, we can
repentance,
see it,
a little
and
confession.
you see these guys putting out these new videos on that now, right? Trying to talk about it's 300 million. They got very
I
little
can't
knowledge of
believe
it.
you
Uh
just
oh.
said, "Come as you are."
I'm actually, and these guys are putting out videos, and they got very, very little knowledge of what's really going on. So they just cherry picking off of little stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can cherry pick off of the dirt that you got on your shirt. That doesn't make it mean that you're a dirty person.
Uh oh.
So
Say
with
that,
that
preacher.
being the
Say that,
case,
preacher.
it's just enjoy the game as it is. Enjoy the fact that you are playing the game. I love it when those people come out and saying, "There's no game." Well, I'm playing it.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, so
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm still looking at this letter as we speak.
Hmm.
And if you want me to, I mean, I can while we're reading it, I can read you some parts of it and
Well,
let the
let me
community
hit on
know.
a
The
couple
community, you can
points.
also chime in. By the way, you can participate
Yes.
with us through hit us in chat, and I believe Griff can they hit us up on Discord as
Yeah,
well.
no, yeah, we want you guys to drop in with us, please. Come into the chat with us, talk, give us your thoughts. You can reflect over last week, the fact that we're talking about the chairman's letter right now. I do want to touch on a couple points that Kelosal raised. DG, I don't know why you disappeared. You could have hung in here because she was giving us a hard time because we was having church in here on Star Citizen, Kelosal, okay? Like she know what the deal is. She know we two church boys, and she just come in
It's
here and
Soul
give us a
Citizen.
hard time because we said "come as you are." Ain't that a trip? So listen,
I was just saying, since Colossal decided to start a sermon,
I'm
he was preaching.
on
He
in the
was preaching.
room.
He was
come
preaching
on
in
in
the
the room.
room. Oh Lord. Yeah, well listen, we were just hey listen, we try to let the haters know we ain't hating like that. If they want us reassess their position on Star Citizen, we saying they welcome to come in. That's all we gotta say about it. But anyway, this is what I wanted to throw at you, Colossal. One of the things that came up was this piece about Squadron 42, and I wanted to get your thoughts about the briefing room because you and I had talked about this a week beforehand, and you definitely were saying, "Hey, I want to know a little bit more in relation to Squadron 42, but I don't want to know so much that it ruins the experience." And I think I even expressed that. You know, it's nice to know where the progress is, but I don't necessarily know that I want to know so much that it takes away from my first initial entry into that game. So, how did you feel about Briefing Room? There were two parts. There was a little 15-minute introduction they did, and then there was the 1 hour piece that they did as well. Any thought? Did you? Because I didn't get to finish watching the whole 1 hour piece. I got some of it. Did you get to watch all of it, or did you just get a piece of it?
I did watch all of it. The 1 hour piece was with Brian Chambers, right?
Right, right, right.
Okay, yeah. I did watch all of it. I was very excited because there were some bits in there that um, I want to say I kind of pushed him, or hopefully, or at least gave him an idea.
Mm-hmm,
I may
mm-hmm. Oh
I may
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
have. I mean, it's wishful thinking.
yeah, yeah.
Um, April 17th, 2017. We sent CIG. I sent CI. I was talking to Test Squadron, talking to Montoya, and them, and it was like we should have anybody. If you've seen the movie Avatar,
Mm-hmm.
I got to put this in there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go with Griff. If you've seen the movie Avatar, and we're talking about the blue people, okay, the visual tech is amazing, and one of the things that I was really interested if CIG knew about it was the scanning and the radar, how it's very 3D-ish, how it could, they were going into that tree, that big old huge tree that they have in Avatar, and they
Mm-hmm.
were scanning in and out and throughout the flora and the geography. And I thought, wow, if Chris Roberts is trying to put the best damn space game ever, wouldn't that be a wonderful addition
Mm-hmm.
to that? So I put out a letter to the devs asking them, and I put pictures. These are the
Mm-hmm.
pictures that they have in Avatar. Well, if you look at what I believe is the
It's
first
like
11
40,
seconds
11
griff, and then
seconds, and then later
I believe
41
at
minutes
the
in or something.
1 hour and 42 minute mark, somewhere around that video that Brian Chambers put out, you might see some videos or at least some clips on that. So it made me really, really happy because I was like, okay, that's the path they're going on. So I don't know how much influence we may have had on that, but it seems like that they are listening to the community, and it seems like or it seems like they do have these ideas in mind.
Yeah.
So when it does finally get into Star Citizen, because once again, everything is going to go into Squadron 42 first.
Yep.
Okay, so you're not going to see a lot of things happen to Star Citizen and then Squadron 42. It's going to be the other way around. It's going to be interesting. Now, as far as the videos, I did look at Chris Roberts' 15-minute video. I thought it was you know, and it was interesting to see how they're doing that. It's almost like calling all devs a little bit, but this time with the bigwigs. It was nice to see that Jared wasn't involved in these because it seems like it's a little bit less scripted, and a little bit more. I think people want to hear from those people, right? And from the bigwigs like the Brian Chambers and the Chris Roberts and things like that. So, but at the same time, they kind of acknowledge that certain things are not going to be on a roadmap, or the roadmap may be incomplete, or things like that. And you want to hear from those people why it's not happening. And regardless of whatever reason they may come up with, you still want to hear from those people on why things are not happening or where things are. I thought that the hour special that Brian Chambers gave was a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more enlightening, although it was very vague on the roadmap. Still waiting on that, I believe. But to see some parts of Squadron 42 in there was quite enlightening alone. I'm not one of those guys. I think CIG has been very, very a little bit too transparent. That's allowing people to go plumb crazy. Where's the Squadron 42 video? And my whole thing is, I would love a Squadron 42 video with a release date. With the release date.
You don't want to see
I think we've seen some of these Squadron 42 videos. I think they've been out there to the point to where people are itching for a video. And my whole thing is, give me a release date.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I would look forward to seeing your teasers.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I think CIG is okay for backing off on transparency.
Yeah.
You know, the 3-month model they got is pretty good. But I just want them to focus in on the game and not focus in on people's concerns about where's this video and that video. That's just my opinion.
Okay,
I may be wrong.
Vet, thank you for that subscription. We appreciate that. And Thale, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Thale Crow, you guys look up Thale. He's a great streamer. He's on every day almost streaming. You guys check him out on Twitch. Really cool guy. Very knowledgeable dude too about Star Citizen. So he's a great resource. I'd have to agree with you. You know, and nothing wrong with as you mentioned when you say that Lando often has the scripted questions, and that's so that the developers are prepared, because for them to drop questions on them that's unexpected would be probably not a good thing to do. But as you mentioned, it's great to just kind of sit back and hear the devs talk between themselves, and it's just a different feel in how the information is given out to everybody. So I agree. The parts that I saw, it was great. I tried to avoid anything that showed any of the in-game, you know, stuff. I tried not to look at that too much. I just really wanted to hear what the conversations were about, and I pretty much enjoyed that. So last week, as you guys know, was really big. You know, the irony of all this is that, Kelosal, we are literally just a few weeks away from going into what's going to be the time for the International Exposition, right? The IAE. And all these things are kind of like 30 days within each other. So as soon as we're leaving out of that, not only do we have IAE coming up, technically we're in fourth quarter. Technically, the next drop 3.12 is supposed to be coming out technically. Some people think it'll come out later. I personally think that they'll get it to Evocati sometime in November. I think it would be detrimental for them to drop it in December because that means that it may not get to the community till January, and I don't think that would be a good light for them. So I'm hoping that because 11 was a smaller bit, they took some things out of 11, that hopefully it was being done so that they could be prepared for end of year for 12. But we will see. We will see what happens. And let's see, we still have the waiting on the Mercury Star Runner, which is supposed to be coming out in this quarter too. So that might be another thing for us to look for when the Star Runner comes out. Let's see where they are with 12. I know with 12, there's a lot of stuff that they're not there yet on. So
right, and I think didn't they say something about the Star Runner? They said that there are still some things that they're still finishing up on.
Yep.
So so that should relieve some of you Star Runner fans in terms of the expectations. I agree with you, Griff. There's going to be a lot of good things coming out. I hope they put out stuff prior to the Thanksgiving holidays, or at least around the Thanksgiving holidays, to allow that to go ahead and fester and get improved upon. Love IAE. I'm encouraged if people saw that newsletter that they sent out.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the other day. Yeah.
And people saw that newsletter and that little sneak peek. We were talking about that. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
We were talking about that, a little sneak peek, guys. If you haven't seen the newsletter, you might want to go look at it because Griff brought it up to me, and Griff was like, Kelosal, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, let's look at it. And I just came out and I was like, Tara! And then we looked really closely at it, and we looked at some pictures between Tara and... So we're thinking that it could be New York,
Earth. Yep,
it could be Earth. And if that's the case, I'm so excited because where's the IAE going to be? Is it? Is
I don't know. Maybe not.
It's going to be.
No. What we got excited about was the fact that we know that there's a particular ship manufacturer that's also based there, and it's RSI.
And it's Chris Roberts' baby.
Exactly. And another one of our buddies is waiting on a particular ship that is rumored to be coming from RSI. And he's already got his wallet ready to go, But, but that could be a validation because they said a ship manufacturer out of there. So if it's
his wallet has several holes.
Yeah.
and he can't keep the money in it.
But he keeps filling it up, though. So that's okay.
Yes, he does. Thank God. Well, goodness gracious! But see, the effect of that is it bleeds over into my pocket.
Yeah, I know you two are always going back and forth, but what we're talking about, thank you, Thale. Thale hit it on the head. Absolutely. Is this going to lend some validation to the rumors about the Odin? And so would this be the debut for it at the IAE? Now, whether the IAE is going to be held as usual in our corp, or whether someplace else, we don't know.
Or back in Lorville? Didn't it start off there?
Well, it's Lorville too. Now, this is what I said, though. This is what I said. I wouldn't be surprised if... I could be wrong about this. I think that there's a lot of stuff as far as systems and worlds that they've been working on for quite a while. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some updated viewing or concepts of things. I'm kind of looking forward to kind of seeing where the universe... No, I mean as far as the universe goes. We're talking about New York or Terra. I'm not saying that the locations will be there, but I'm saying I know that they have been working on it for some time. And the early concept drawings from way, way, way back, 8-7 years ago, I would love to see some updated stuff in relation to where they are. Similar to what we saw when we looked at Orison. They kind of gave us that gray box thing. I would love to see some other stuff in relation to locations like that. But that might be a bit much to ask for at this time. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And then right after that, we've got the IAE. We come right out of that, and we go into the holiday sale. And that's another opportunity. And some of you guys who purchased the Talons, I know you guys are looking forward to receiving your Talons during that time as well. So, we've got the Mercury Star Runner possibly. Not possibly. We know the Mercury Star Runner is coming. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? The Crusader ship, the Starlifter. We didn't talk about the Starlifter. And we've seen interiors on the Starlifter. We have seen interiors, like finished interiors on the Starlifter.
Hold on. I'm trying to sound ignorant here. We're talking about the Hercules, right?
The Mercury, the big one, the Genesis Starlifter, the big one. Yeah,
Okay, the Genesis Starlifter. Okay.
The Genesis Starlifter. Yeah, I know too many names. I know. All right, listen, hey guys, if you all want to get into this,
I'm still waiting on that, Griff.
Well, I'm telling you. Hang on a second. If you guys want to get in the conversation, don't forget to click on the link in Discord. You guys can come in, give us your thoughts in relation to what ship you may think may be being released between now and end of year. Since we're kind of going back and forth about this. So yeah, I was saying the C2. We know the C2 Kelosal is something that we're supposed to be seeing. Do you think they'll drop that at IAE?
No.
Really?
No, I'll be shocked if they drop that.
Really?
That'll be one pleasant surprise.
Really?
If they drop that.
So you thinking it's going to wait till next year before they drop it?
Yeah. Why not?
That thing was almost finished. You really think they will wait? Really? What
significance?
I'll tell you.
What significance will it be in game to bring it out now?
Because you just said it. You said they're moving toward cargo. You specifically said that, and that's what that Starlifter is for. That is the one thing that can move any vehicles that we have in game right now. Plus, with the cargo decks and possibly docking coming in, that ship would mean something. I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys think? Orson was in Gray Box. That's right, Kimmy. It was. And they said they had a little bit more work to do. Max says Genesis Starliner. You want to say the Hercules Starlifter. I thought it was... Is it called the Hercules Starlifter? Is that what it is, Max? I thought it was also Genesis. I thought they were all like... Well, I can't... Mercury.
Well, the Genesis Starlifter, isn't that the... the Hercules
the Starliner. There's the Starliner, the Starlifter, and the Star... What's the other one? Star Runner.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. So the Star Runner is the Mercury.
All right. Star Runner. Thank you.
The Starlifter is the Hercules. Okay. All right. That's what sounds right. Okay. Okay. So once again, I mean, everybody's trying to use the Hercules for the lifter, but just like everybody made that mistake with the 890, talking about it's going to be my capital ship. And I'm and all of a sudden everybody knew it was a gas guzzler walking around the galaxy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a great ship.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the gameplay that does work for the C2 is people can now load any vehicles they want. It's multiple vehicles that whatever it is, right? And cargo. At least it's functional.
Yes.
At least it's functional. I don't want them to put anything else in the game that it's in the game, but you can't do nothing with it. I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying there's a possibility that could come into the game.
I'm not hating on the 890. I really am not. The 890's got some good ways, but everybody planned to. You know how when people go ahead and get a ship and they're like, "Oh yeah, this ship's coming out. I want to use it for this."
Yeah.
And they take it away from the real intention, which is supposed to be a touring ship.
True. Jay, thank you for the follow.
And all of a sudden, you put it in a game, and everybody's fantasies go down the drain, right?
Yeah, well, you know how I am about that. I believe ships are supposed to be what they're for. I mean, and I get the fact that people want to make a ship a jack of all trades or a Frankenstein, but that's not the purpose of this game. That's why we have so many different ships, so many different careers, so many specialized ships, because Chris wants us to be able to work together and not just find that one ship. Like the Carrack right now is the party boat, but ultimately it's a deep space exploration ship, Okay, well, listen, nobody's jumped in yet. We really want somebody to jump in. We're going to do a giveaway tonight for those who, if you want to possibly win what did I say we're going to get rid of? 100 series.
100 series, yep. One
of the 100 series ships. It could be the 100 series of your choice. All you have to do is come into chat and say the secret word. You know what? I was debating between two words and I have to figure out what word I'm going to tell you the word is. But if you guys want to come in and talk with us, and if you happen to say the secret word, boom, you win a 100 series ship of your choice. That's basically it. It's that easy if you want to come in and share your thoughts. What's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it.
Griff, if I can,
go ahead.
I mean, just by still reading this letter, I've been, scavenging through this letter, and it seems like I've been salvaging through this letter, and it seems like Chris Roberts also makes a major comment about, having big plans about salvage, repair, medical, data running, farming, and manufacturing and crafting. I understand that this is all going to be it's not out right now, but but for him to put that in there could suggest that they are probably a lot more farther, or at least farther ahead than what we think they are now. With that, in his letter, I do want to acknowledge the fact that their missile improvement system is quite improved.
Yes.
With 3.11. Sorry, but
Sure.
yeah, I just want to throw that in there because these are things that excite me in this game.
Very cool.
I wish it still need more gameplay. Just give me one or two POIs and some fantasies and some lore around that. It could be around Daymar. I think they had the Bangle at one point, or the ship that crashed on Daymar at one point. They could put a couple of more,
sites like that,
gameplay spurts in the game.
I agree.
To give us a little bit more excitement, at least with the gameplay.
J2, you obviously want an instant ban from the channel. How dare you blaspheme Origin ships in here? Okay.
You got the whales in this
follows.
room. You got some whales in here.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, guys, please forgive me. Our activity feed is not running and telling me who followed, but I know 2 people just came in and followed. So thank you guys so much for the follow. I don't know what's going on with Twitch tonight. It's not reporting anybody who subscribes or follows, which is crazy. But thank you guys for the follow. We really do appreciate it. Dragon of Chaos was one of them. Thank you, Dragon. I do remember one of them. Again, if you come into chat and talk with us, you guys will be eligible for, hey, Kimmy's here. Hey, Kimmy, how are you, buddy?
Hey, man.
Good.
Hey, man.
We got your, we're looping through on your volume. Something's coming through from Justin. So,
here we go.
Let me, see. Oh, Kimmy, was there something you were going to say before I jump in a little bit further here?
Well, as far as where we are with 3.11 and all this optimism, I just wanted to say to chat, bottle that. You guys hear me?
Yeah, bottle that.
Bottle it, because they said we're not going to see anything major as far as building blocks until, as an estimate only, mid 2021. So batten down the hatches, persevere, save your rations, bottle that positivity, because we're going to have to wait this thing out, especially after 3.12. Let's not rush 3.12. If we get it at December, that's great, because that means we have 6 more months of just, okay, what's going on? But we're hoping that...
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I wasn't rushing it. I was just saying I think that it'll go to Ivacati mid-November, and like you just said, that we'll get it in December. I'm just saying I don't think they should drop it to Ivacati in December, where we're getting it in January. I think that would be a bad move. That was all I was saying.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the overall picture. We're not going to really see anything major until mid-2020. That's iCache. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And man, it's going to be a long haul, and I don't want people to get salty to say what's going on, and we forget this moment, right?
And they shouldn't be salty. I understand, and you're right, Kimmy, to have them to calm down a little bit. But here's the reason why I would say this could be an exciting time, because I think a lot of people have been waiting for this.
Yes.
And even though we're asking people to, hey, just keep your expectations in check, guys, because every time we see one thing, we have to wait for another thing to come up, and things may get pushed back, or things come up. But we are in a lot better place now than we were in 2015. And we're in a lot better place now than we were in 2012. So to see a lot of this stuff now, and to see them even talking about this, the iCache, and see them even talking about, they finally got object containment in, not maybe all the way, but the point is that it's in game. It's quite exciting to participate in. And you're right, calm down, guys, don't get too salty. Still put your requests out there, be a part of the development, and ask them to put in certain things that you may see that could help improve the game. But I think we're in a lot better place now than we were several years ago. I think that's where the excitement is. I'm hoping, as far as that's what I'm interpreting, that's where the excitement is stemming from.
I'm going to throw this in. We just had a guest come in, Jay. Jay. Welcome for coming into the show. We appreciate you being here.
Hey, all right. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, no problem. Was it something that you wanted to say based on what we want to say, or do you want to hear what I have to say, then you want to comment on what I want to say?
I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So, Jay, since you said that, you're going to be the first one to respond, okay? Here's my prediction. I'm looking at the business dynamic of this, right? The business dynamic of this says to me, and I could be wrong. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts. We are at the end of the quarter. CIG has made a ton of money this year, more money than they've usually made within a year's time in development.
300 million plus.
I cannot see them allowing IAE or the holiday sale to go by without selling any brand new ships. Hence the reason why I say the Mercury Star Runner, the Star Lifter, the Taurus. What else did we name? What other ship did we name? We named something else in there earlier. What was the other ship?
Star Lifter, Star Runner.
Star Lifter,
I think you
Star
said something
Runner,
about the Genesis.
Taurus. Well, that was it. No, that was the Star Lifter.
Okay.
But there was one other ship. Oh, we talked about the Talon coming out. So all I'm saying is that for them to let this window go by without any ship sales, because after that we go into the dry month of January where everybody goes on leave, right? So that means nothing's going to really pick up again until maybe March of next year. So and then we get into 4.0. So will they let this quarter go by? They already didn't have CitizenCon. All they sold was 300 eyes, and they cleaned up. They made a ton of money, almost $750,000 on just selling 300 eyes and stuff. But for them to let the IAE go by and holiday and not push out any sales on a business level, to me, I'd be shocked. I'd be totally shocked they didn't sell any more ships before the end of the year. So Jade, go ahead, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. And they even hinted to the people who have lots of money that there's going to be something at the IAE, and they used a picture from New York, the future New York.
Yeah, so we were talking about.
Yeah,
yep.
So it's probably the Odin, I think.
We were saying, I don't know if you heard us earlier, Jay, but we were saying how we know that RSI is based there. And like you said, they said that there was a manufacturer something's going to come out of there. So we agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I'm really into the lore. And like, I saw that right away. And I'm like, okay, it's RSI ship. And then it connected with that whole rumor about the Odin. So I'm almost 100% sure it's the Odin.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
That's money kept in my pockets. That ship does not serve my purpose whatsoever.
Well, she said that people who have money, it's for people like that. So that means Kimmy. So that means Kimmy's going to buy it. That's what that means.
Wait. Oh, hey, I'm going to keep it grounded. I'm going to keep this grounded because there's also a possibility with 312 of them presenting that mystery armor. There's a possibility if that's a Titan. Can they command about $90 to $100 for that easily and have people just scrambling to get one of those?
Ooh, but to sell that armor,
a Titan as much, if not more, than an Avenger.
The Titan armor suit.
No, he's talking about the Titan armor.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a mystery armor. He said everyone is going to be pleased about it.
They did say mystery armor. Yeah, they've been making a big deal. They don't usually make a big deal about armor. I agree with you on that, Kimmy. That's a good point.
I'm not going to be pleased about armor that's going to be used for a pyro, and we don't have pyro. What's pleasing about that?
Well, is Titan armor specific to pyro? Cause that's what I don't know.
Well, with pyro, they're saying that you need a radiation abatement for this particular suit to survive in pyro because of the red dwarf star emitting a lot of X-rays and solar flares.
Right.
Correct.
But it's kind of like everyone is kind of partial. When you talk about, it's kind of polarizing, right? When you think about pyro, you're going to have that split down the middle of, oh, that's where the pirates are. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do PvP. The hell with it. Then you have, oh yeah, we can shoot everything we can see right there and we can get away with it. Yeah. You're going to have that kind of dynamic. But then he said something that everyone is going to be delighted to see. And I'm like, what would the Titan possibilities, right?
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
Well, here's some things. Stale says here that he believes they easily could get people to pay money for that Titan suit. He says he thinks people will.
Easily.
Now, and I don't know enough about the Titan suit. I've just heard bits and pieces about it, so I don't know whether people will be willing to drop money or whether people will be, livid about it and say, well, maybe they're just giving it to you early, like Kimmy said, because we know Pyro's not coming till much later, and the people who just want to, like paint, for example. People pay for paint right now when we know later on you're going to get paint and it's not going to be a big deal. You just buy it in game. So That might be the case. J2, to answer your question earlier, I was referring to new ships. Nothing. I wasn't referring to stuff that's already out, but that they're not going to let this season go by without pushing out something new. That was.
Yeah, the Odin isn't out yet.
Yep. Wow.
Can I give you an update about the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo?
Sure.
Well, Chris Roberts says this year the IAE moves to an all new location built from the ground up at New Babbage.
Ouch.
Ooh.
On
Oh,
Microtech.
wow.
Ooh.
And there's been some disturbing transmissions coming from Pyro.
Oh my gosh.
That's what he said in his newsletter.
Kick Bellamar to
So
the
we
curb.
know. So we know. So from what Jade is saying, we know that the ship possibly could be the Odin because the picture is of New York, which is home to RSI.
Wow.
But we also
I
know
wanted
now.
to be an Origin ship, but no, it's going to be the Odin, I bet.
Right. And we also know now that it is going to be at Microtech this year.
Okay, that answers that. At an all new place. Wow.
Yeah.
Fail, thank you for the follow. Missed 9676, thank you for the follow. And Cuddles, welcome and thank you for the follow as well. Wow, that's wow. That's all I got to say about that. Wow. At a new location, which means it's something that we haven't seen. I mean, I know that they had talked about the expo hall that was down at the Frontline store, but this has got to be something much bigger, whatever that is. And like they said, something we haven't seen yet. So, that's interesting. Well, all we can tell you guys is hide your wallet. You know, for those of you who say that you're not going to spend any money on Star Citizen, I know many of us have said that plenty of times before.
Hide your wallet, hide your coins, hide your wallet, hide your coins.
Okay.
Because they are coming for you.
Yeah.
At Microtech.
J2 says there was a previously unseen ship in the Squadron 42 video. Yes, the one that was the overhead shot. Looked a bit like a terrapin with the spiky kind of protrusions. When I first saw that, J2, I thought it was a Valk just because I glanced at it, but several people have taken still shots of it and zoomed in on it, and it was definitely something we have not seen yet. Don't know what the heck it was. It was much bigger than a terrapin. At least it looked like it was, but it looked like it had VTOLs on the side of it, but the front, as you mentioned, had these spikes on the end. Thale Crow says, was it an RSI salvage barge? Possibly. Interesting. Well, okay. Let's go ahead and jump in. And Jade, you're more than welcome to hang out with us if you'd like to. Again, if you're here and you're talking to us, if you say the secret word, I was going to say magic word. If you say the secret word, you could win a RSI, not an RSI, a Origin 100 series ship of your choice.
I like Origin, so yeah.
Awesome. You definitely need to stick around then. Kimmy, thank you for the subscription. Thank you, bro. We appreciate that. Okay, so listen, we are going to jump into it right now. And we're going to just take a little bit of I don't know if we're going to do the whole show now, Kelosal, because we went a long time on this piece. I didn't think we were going to go this long. But let's go ahead and start looking at this piece on, what's it called? All right, another one. Thank you. Oh, God, we're getting all these subscriptions. Thank you guys so much for the subscription. Jade Star Watcher. All right, those are the ones that Kimmy passed out. Thank you, Kimmy, again for those subscriptions. Those are awesome. Okay. Oh, Quitness. There's the third one. All right, thank you for that subscription. Let's go ahead and fire this up. And we're going to talk about just a little bit of this. We're not going to do this.
Welcome to another
J2,
episode of Star
thanks for
Citizen
the
Live,
subscription.
all about Alpha 311. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee.
They just coming in like gold.
Oh my God! They're going on a crazy rundown.
And explore some aspect of Star Citizen's development. Either we'll make something live on the show, or we'll explore some process involved in the creation of something. Or in the case of today's show, we will do a roundtable Q&A about the recently released Alpha 311 patch. So we're going to go ahead and just get right to it. Let's introduce our panel of guests, because for some people, it's somebody's first show. Let's start immediately directly above me. Rich, Brady Bunch style, who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
Hello, so I'm Rich Tyra, and I am the core gameplay director on Star Citizen. And I basically cover all of the teams, or the pillar that covers everything to do with actors or the player. So if you're not inside a ship and you're walking around and doing all of those kind of things, that falls under my remit.
Okay. Moving clockwise over to Luke Presley, a man who's no stranger to these programs, but we're going to do it anyway. Luke, who are you? What do you do for
Still
Star
hate
Citizen?
this bit. Okay. I'm Luke Presley. I'm a lead designer on Star Citizen Live. I cover missions mainly, although I've got my finger in all kinds of pies. Like we tend to inherit the features that like other teams finish and then have to like propagate them out through the whole solar system.
And do you hate this part because it's so hard to describe what you do, or because there's always like a 50-50 chance of messing your own name up, which happens
both,
a lot
actually,
on this show?
Both.
Yep. And then last but certainly not least, Todd, who are you? What do you do for Star Citizen?
I'm Todd Pappy. I'm the Star Citizen live game director. So basically working with Rich and Luke and then basically CR, Tony, and the rest of the team to put out the patch and make sure that we're building the solar systems the way that they need to be done.
All right. So if you're watching the show live, you can submit your questions into either Twitch chat or the Spectrum chat by prefacing your question with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That's going to help Molly and our community management team pull those questions out from all the other conversation that's going on. Remember that questions should be related to the recently released patch Alpha 3.11. So if your question is, when's this ship coming out? Or when can I do this thing? Or whatever, that's not related to 3.11. So try to keep all questions related to the patch that just went out. As usual, we also started the process off by collecting questions throughout the week from backers on Spectrum and then letting them vote up which ones they wanted to see answered most. So we're going to start in with those. Right off the bat, Rich, we got one for you. Force reactions. Are force reactions going to force us into the seats and ships one day? Currently, it's just a gentle sway unless we hit something hard. Is this the intended goal, or is there more to come?
So, force reactions as a system, this is kind of our second drop that's gone live. So, I mean, first, for somebody who doesn't know what force reactions are basically the reactions that your player character undergoes when they receive an impulse. And that impulse can come from a direct impulse. So, for example, something physically hitting you, an indirect impulse, such as like an explosion, or sustained forces, things like wind or G-force. So what we went live with in 3.11 was the twitches and the knockdowns. So essentially, if you can split down the force reactions into kind of like low impact, medium impact, and high impact. What we shipped with is the twitches, which are kind of like the physical procedural motion. So you see the character doing little small twitches when they get shot. And then we went down with the high impact as well, which is the knockdowns. So currently at the moment in the ship, if you receive a big impulse, a really high impact, so your character can fall over. And then we have the leaning. Now, the leaning is kind of classified as a low impact. And as I described at the start, when we have like direct, indirect, and sustained, leaning is kind of like your sustained twitch. It's kind of the character bracing themselves, pushing themselves into that force. So, for example, if you're on like a ship at sea, you're kind of like steadying yourself, and that's what it's supposed to be. But what we don't have live in 3.11 is the staggers. And the staggers is where it kind of the balance right now is that if you would stagger, we've just said, okay, you can just lean for now, because we didn't want to go, okay, you're going to fall over the place. We'll say, okay, you can actually lean, but eventually for in upcoming patches, we're going to be releasing staggers. So staggers is split into kind of two forces. There is like one-shot staggers, and then there's like stumble staggers. The one-shot staggers are kind of where you receive an impulse and your character like staggers. So, if you've watched any film where, they take a broadside or something and the character's like doing this, and then they're coming back and they go, okay, almost like that stumble, then you're back into game. And then the other side of things is kind of what we call classifying as like a stumble locomotion. So the stumble locomotion is kind of where it might force you into seated or kind of bracing onto something, because bracing is going to be part of it. So the stumble locomotion, say if your ship is, let's say one of the thrusters has gone or something, and it's rotating and it's giving lots of acceleration and forces, that's where your character is going to be like, okay, well, I'm out of control. And that's where it's kind of like your stumble locomotion. Almost think of it like drunk locomotion. Your character is not going where you want it to be, but you've still got control of your character. You can still trigger actions. You can still do things. So what we're going to be doing is when we do staggers and stumble locomotion is that you'll be able to brace onto things. So if you're sat down, So if you're in the back of a Valkyrie and you're
go from stagger to
coming as a
stumble,
dropship, then you're going to be braced because that's what's part of it. So
taking injury if you fall down
the
hard
long
enough
answer
or
is
bump against
what I
the
just
wall hard
gave.
enough,
The
you
short
just minor
answer is
injury.
yes in the future, but forced reactions is it's such a huge system. We had to kind of piecemeal it like this to kind of give ourselves room to understand the premise, because when we talk about every force that's coming your way, I mean every force that's coming your way. You step out into wind, you can if the wind is hurricane force, and we use realistic wind speeds, so if you're stepping out into like an 8 on the Beaufort scale or a 9 or a 10, you're gonna fall over. And then what we do we actually simulate your character getting up, and they go into the effort set, which I think we first showed off at CitizenCon, and the hand coming off if you've not got a helmet on, and your character actually braces themselves. So what we happen there is in the wind that we have this sustained delta. So for example, if you go out in the wind and you see someone fall over, they're not just going to keep trugging, falling over. They'll actually then stand back up and be like, okay, I'm bracing myself now. I wasn't ready for it, but I am ready for it now. So force reactions is going to be an ever-changing feature, but for 3.11, that's probably our first significant. I mean, we've had previous drops with it in terms of the twitches and the procedure, and we're going to be doing further work on it. But yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of the entirety of the feature as a whole.
So one day it will make ships like the Valkyrie and Prowler, who have their drop seats, mean something. The seats will matter.
100%. I mean, it's something that we've touched on. I know we're talking about 3.11, but it is something we've touched on in Theatre of War when we want drop ships coming in, and the ships need to have meaning in the game. That we've designed them that way. They're designed to give differing gameplay. So, if you take a massive broadside,
added part, because my other question is, for the bigger ships, are you going to add blast doors?
The larger ships are supposed to have kind of a dampening
along
effect,
with the staggering and the stumble locomotion
carrier that has like a gyroscope that causes it to stay stable in rough waters, so the ships, the planes can land on it. So we will be simulating some of that. So if you're in Idris or in a really an 890 jump, you will have you'll have less severe leans based off the relative force that on smaller ships. So for this drop, that we had to tweak it so that the leaning is a bit more subtle across the board, because we didn't have the medium impacts reactions in terms of the staggers or the stumble locomotion. We didn't have like that dampening force, but because it's such a huge system and it ties into everything. It ties into when you're walking around in the back of the ships, the understanding of that somebody in the ship is actually pulling some 9G maneuver and you're just stood in the back and you're like, what's going on? I mean, for example, we haven't tied it into you passing out and redding out and blacking out, and that is something we're going to be doing. So we wanted to get it live in some of these interim drops, and that was planned. That wasn't like, oh, we're not going to get it all. That was like, no, let's try this here, then this, and then this, because it just gives us an ability to go, okay, how do we want the balance to be? How do we want to affect this? And it's it's exciting times.
All right.
So you
what
have
was the
to
reasoning for the
be able to
update in 3.11?
Have the ship be able to be rendered inoperable
to make this change. So we've been talking about.
What do you mean?
Let's say if you have somebody pass out. I mean, if you don't want to destroy the ship and you want to take over the ship, and you want to go ahead and either incapacitate the crew, or you want to go ahead and basically make the ship unstable, so where it can't fly anymore.
You mean can't fly?
You got to have an opportunity. You got to add the armor hit points, because I don't think that's in game right now. Because once you get past the shields, then you just start dinging down the armor, and that's it. Right, as of right now, the state of the game. But if you go ahead and add the armor hit points, or whatever they want to call it, that could allow for longer gameplay. One, and it could also allow for the damage in certain parts of the ship to render the ship inoperable.
Well, I mean, I think that goes to the whole targeting piece that they wanted to do. You know how, like, right now they had the little thing in there where you could, like, specifically lock onto the engines. We were even joking around about the 100 series where that quantum drive is right in front. That literally your people are disabling it because they're actually focusing their targeting on, like you said, certain areas. I was actually impressed with the whole thing about the redding out and blacking out, because I didn't think about that. That if you're on the ship, and like right now when you do what you're doing, you think of it when you're piloting a ship of blacking out or redding out. But what happens to the people who are standing around in the back? You know, that they now will collapse and fall down, which would be kind of interesting to see. Because right now it's just you lose your vision, but that's it. But to physically respond to it, that would be kind of different, you know.
This for a while.
Right.
Shall I go?
Go ahead.
Well, we don't want. I mean, this is the direction, right? We're going in. We don't want these arbitrary kind of limits on things. They're in there now because we don't have the ability to correctly police or defend the area. It'd be a griefing nightmare if we just allowed everyone to attack around the spawn locations. But we were starting to feel ready. Like, we weren't ready going into it, but it took a lot of work. But we felt like we could get there for 3.11. So, like, we had AI that was capable of avoiding the stations, and we had AI like accuracy being worked on, and that was really promising. And yeah, it felt like it was the time to at least try, and so we aimed for 3.11. We developed the size 10 turret, and that because we were developing capital ships at the same time, so we added those. We already had the small turrets for size 4s that have been on landing pads for a while. We had the size 6s that we used in like the claim jumper missions. So we felt like with the size 10 we had the full array of like capability of defending against all the ships in our game.
Hey guys,
so far, and possibly even in future, those size 10s,
it's for a reason.
You don't even get those on some of the
They
cap
don't
ships.
have the
So
CPU to push things
and
forward. So
the other thing
everything
was
is
we
in a bubble right now.
we could
And
develop
everything's
this
gonna be
kind
on
of
him as far as
the
the
heat system,
live
like the
aspect of the game.
like a
All of that
security
rolls up to
response
him
around a station.
at this moment until they go.
So we
forward
started
with
trying to
iCache.
tackle that, and
Notice his demeanor.
I
He's
think
like,
it's
"Oh
gone
God."
down really well. I think it needs a lot more complexity added to it. For instance, right now it just responds to the crime stats, like the accumulated crime stats of all the players in that location. It doesn't respond to like the ships they're in, or how aggressive they're being at that moment in time. So in future, those are the things we're going to be aiming on there. But yeah, I just think like, especially when I think we're trying to push another kind of point patch out, and that has one thing that we're trying to address in, because right now, as it's gone out, that you'll only get them responding if you happen to hit these thresholds that we've put in. It was just a bug, and so hopefully with the next point patch, you'll be seeing them responding when you turn up with, like, say, a crime stat 2, which isn't one of the thresholds right now. Like, we have a threshold at 1 and a threshold at 3, and yeah, so they wouldn't turn up for that because of this bug. But I'm hoping when that goes out, you'll see kind of like what we were aiming for. Like, the policing will be there, the defenses, they're already there. Yeah, I think it was time.
Well, it's an iterative process, like Luke's
We're not
talking
done,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and this allows us to test out things and see what's working for us, what's not working for us. But we felt that the law system was mature enough, to actually start introducing this.
As a follow-up, you mentioned the turrets. The turrets were added in the vicinity of the R&R stations to act as protection with the removal of armistice zones. Is there a particular reason why these turrets weren't embedded as emplacements on the hull of the station themselves, rather than have them be on floating platforms around?
Go ahead.
Twofold, right? I mean, from my point of view, it's because they offer the most coverage with the least amount of them, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing. And then there was like a direction from Art, which is, we don't want these things to look like battleships, which would be, if we put turrets all over them, and you would probably need a lot more turrets to get decent coverage. So these things would end up looking like a battleship.
And firing angles for it, so it was a long thought process that we went through it on it, and then it's also just from a targeting standpoint. Okay, I can go and target that. Let's say I'm a pirate, I want to take that out, I want to blow it up. It's easier for them to pick it out and see it. And then in the future,
there are some turrets on
we've talked
some
about
some stations.
We've got,
like for example, Port
cannons,
Olisar. If you go over there with the pirate rating, you're going to see a light show like you saw in Flash Gordon. Ming the Merciless, when they cut on all his little defense system, trying to talk about it's in honor of his wedding. I mean, it was quite brilliant. Just saw that today.
Yeah. And the size 10s are nothing to joke around about. I mean, they're still working on this. And I think this is one of the reasons why when they talked about, opening up that area so that now people could get shot, going through there, I wasn't too worried about it because I figure they've got to keep balance in the game. There has to be some threat aspect of it, but there also has to be a pay the price for it if you decide you want to go in there and do something. And like I said, between the turrets and the police showing up, you have to ask yourself, is it going to be worth even doing it now? I mean, you're always going to have those people who want to just go in and, just go mess with folks, right? But I think we're going to see that tone down. We saw it happen when the law system came in, when they started fining people. At first people were just messing with people all the time at Port O, and then now you don't. At least I don't have it happen hardly at all to me. Now I know there are other people who say they run into that problem, but I really have not been ganked. I can't even remember the last time I've been ganked, and I'm in the game pretty frequently. Maybe I'm just lucky, but but since they kept these systems in it, I haven't had anybody come after me. Even tonight, while we were out in the game tonight, I didn't have anybody harass me coming into Port O.
Oh, you're fortunate.
Yeah, I probably am. Because I know, like right now, with the whole mask thing going on for the Vanduul, people are running around just trying to get that Vanduul mask, and so they're blowing people away left and right. But I've been pretty lucky so far.
Or ballistic weapons on there, but in the future it'll be like missiles or those types of things as well, so that we can mix and match.
Just keep on this thread for a little bit. This next question asks, what data have you been able to pull from the fights that have occurred in the newly opened Greenstone zones? What have we learned so far, if anything?
So far, the bugs that still remain.
Which is super useful.
Oh yeah, totally. Like we know that say you can lock on to things through walls still, and you can even fire missile. I believe that missiles go straight through the doors as well. That's something that's because the scanning system and the missile system is still developing. You've seen how that's developed, in 3.11.
Yeah, you got that happen tonight, didn't you?
In talking to Mark
got blown up right in the armor zone at Grimex.
Somewhere like separate where they have all that fixed.
Notice when they said bugs, Todd Pappy immediately reacted,
making sure that it's ready for a next release. But so there's plenty of bugs we've spotted and even started working on. Like you noticed that I think it'll be in the patch a little later on where we don't allow you to fire missiles or lock missiles inside the green zones that we call the old-fashioned green zones, the ones that are still around landing zones and outposts and Olisar. You won't be able to lock on to anything in there. Because it's unfair, you can't shoot. You can shoot into it, and those bullets don't hurt them at all. But you can lock on and fire a missile, and that hurts them. So, we have to prevent that.
So that's how you got hit.
As far as data goes, it's still too early.
Yeah, that person flew outside of the armor zone, shot a missile.
From it
yeah, that's
now when he shot first he shot his turrets, and I was getting hit, but I wasn't losing any type of shielding. And then all of a sudden I heard that missile lock, and I just sat there on purpose. I was like, it's not gonna happen. He's gonna shoot a missile, it's gonna bounce right off. Nope, boom, blown up. So, yeah.
And just as a follow-up, you mentioned the work that Mark's team is doing in their stream to fix some of these things that it'll be ready in a next release. That's not to say it's the next release.
I just
want to, before people do the summaries of this, like, yeah, it's coming in the next release. That's not what we're saying. When it's ready, like all things. What's next for these?
I saw that, Admiral. Very funny.
Where do we go from here? Is it still too early to tell?
No. I mean, I'm gonna look into I'm going to look into removing them around outposts, or not removing, but relaxing them around outposts, maybe. It needs investigation, I'll be honest. The next thing I'm hoping to do is fix up GrimHex so that it has similar. Now, GrimHex is just slightly different because currently all these turrets, they just react to crime stats. And obviously, there are people at GrimHex who have crime stats and are welcome. So they have to have their own method of choosing. Like they still, they have their own laws per se over there. So they won't be happy with you just blowing up their customers, but it'll be more like they attack you and say get out of here, and then they forget about it after a little while, and you can come back. It's not like you have to go and hack off a crime stat from GrimHex or anything. So yeah, I'm going to be exploring that. But obviously, in future, we hope to remove the interior green zones as well, or relax those to allow FPS combat. So currently, Mikhail on our team is working on spawn closets. So, a method of getting things like a population in and out of the area so that we can spawn police or respawn the NPCs that you murder or have the NPCs run away. But that's even though we may have spawn closets quite soon, the whole policing and that of an interior, that's some ways off because you need the population kind of manager system there that actually, has people running away into these doors and then coming out to attack you, or, that's some way off. But I think spawn closets are going to be cool because we'll be able to use those in mission locations quite quickly to have kind of, reinforcements coming in.
All right. We got a couple semi-ship related questions here. With the flight model becoming more refined with each release and updated changes to the controls and bindings, have we considered increasing the amount of binds that a controller or joystick or throttle can hold for a single function?
We always talk about these types of things, so we'll always review it, and if it makes sense for us, then we'll update it. But it just might be that it takes a little time for us to do it.
What does major unexpected torque imbalance detected mean?
It means that. But there was an issue that as soon as the thruster got imbalanced by 0.1%, then it would show. So basically, there was a bug with it that basically made it show up too early. So in the future, that'll be fixed, and then you'll have to damage it pretty well to basically make that show up.
MTDR, thanks for the follow. And forgot to say thank you for those 5 subscriptions earlier. Thank you so much.
Are there any plans to add force reactions to other areas of the game, such as trains, at the landing zones?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, touched on before, force reactions is not just a system that exists in some isolated area of the world, or the universe, should I say. It's something that is a truly systemic feature. So we want to basically tie it into everything that you're going to undergo. So, from wind, from G-forces, from impacts from guns, from, eventually when we already have some reactions. So if somebody threw a box at you, that you should twitch and things. But, when we add multi-tool tractor beam or the other different things, or trolley push pull, and, you get hit by those, then, the relevant forces will dictate the reaction that you play. So, like I said, force reactions is such a big feature, and generally because the way we implement these features, we implement them in a systemic way to support scalability, because Star Citizen at its heart is a game about detail, but at scale. And so the reason why we go to a lengths to create these systemic features is so that once we've underpinned that feature and have it in the game, it means that, I'm going to say something that it probably never works like this, but it's like it just works kind of thing. You know, that you have all of these different collisions, all of these different parameters, all of these different things that are happening, and you don't need a designer or developer sat there and tweaking every little thing on numbers, going, oh, okay, somebody just threw a big Benny at my character's head. What should he do? You know, it should be like, okay, this is the kinetic energy of the force that the big Benny's impacted you, and what's the surface area of it, and how does that work, and you know, what's the reaction, and then you know, what is the relevant reaction. So that's kind of it's going to be an ongoing process, but yes, absolutely. And trains did come up in terms of monorail and things like that, so it's on the list. It'll just, as Todd said, it'll take a little bit of time.
For those of you watching live or watching later on YouTube, you're going to be encouraged and maybe tempted to make memes of Richard Tyrer saying, "It just works." I want you to know that you shouldn't do such a thing, but if you do, you could
send it directly to us.
Tag me, Disco Lando,
absolutely,
on Twitter so I can see each and every one of them, please.
Sure.
Next question. Rubber banding and general smoothness, the reactivity to the server and client communications of the game has been greatly improved in 3.11. Can you talk a little bit about how this was achieved and if we can expect additional improvements of a similar nature in the upcoming patches? And thank you so much for your hard work.
I don't want to talk about that.
Says.
Just thank you for finishing it.
Yeah, so I can take that one. So obviously,
who wants to know how rubber banding was solved?
We're constantly looking to improve.
I guess
this particular case was way back when, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. There was a piece of code that was entered in that essentially added a hard, like, 250 milliseconds. Well, actually, originally it was 500 milliseconds onto your connection, and that was like it didn't matter whether you were, had the best internet connection in the world. It was just like whatever you had plus 500. And it was to do with having the general smoothness of the locomotion to make it all look nice and look correct. And obviously, as we've developed the tech, we reduced that, and it was reduced, I think, a few years back.
Avoid the questions that people really want to know.
And then last year, as part of the downstream,
the answer to
some of the downstream work that we released,
because it's digging into the gameplay.
Around,
you got to pull out a question that talks about rubber banding.
738, something like that, yeah. And that was actually a really significant change, because it meant if you had a really good connection.
Well, no, Kelosal, they're not going to answer when Squad 42 is coming out, okay?
As low as like 40, 50 milliseconds. So it meant that, we were competitive with other games out there.
A piece of candy, 25 cents.
If you had a poorer connection, then, there's nothing we can do about that. But fundamentally, that
a first letter of a month
squashed in
I'm
one
fine
of
with
the
that.
patches that got released, and nobody noticed. So when we were like, "Oh, what's going on? Why is this happening?" So we were spending all this time, and then we actually found out, and it was like, hold on, something's gone wrong here. So this round of work is actually just re-enabling the work that got broken. I think it was there was a bug or something that caused it to kind of revert back to this like default 250 milliseconds. So in terms of that specific one, I was obviously that's happened to me several times throughout my career, where somebody's gone, "Oh, hold on, this tick box that we've just done a release build, but we did it in debug," and that, you're like, "Oh, why is the game running at 10 frames a second?" And it's like, "Oh no, I just didn't click." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So that's huge positive, but that doesn't mean to say that we're anywhere close to being done. I mean, I sat down with the guys the other week. CR is obviously wanting us to push on it, and it rightly so. We're making
useless knowledge does have its place
the networking
in history,
is an absolute key focus for us. So we have dedicated resources working on it every single patch.
I will say this: I'm glad that they are talking about this, only because what he said happened was that it actually was in an older patch, and that they had marked it to be fixed, and they missed it. Now, people do forget that there are millions of lines of code. So I know that Admiral joked around and said, "Man, 5-6 years ago, and they just found it." Well, when you compound that over 5-6 years of new data, and then having to go back and review all that stuff to find a weird bug like that, because that bug was a pain in the butt. That rubber banding thing sucked like crazy. And I did notice that we have not had rubber banding. I don't know if when they fixed it, but I'm glad that that's gone, because I can't tell you how many times you'd be doing something, and the next thing you know, you'd get thrown back in an elevator and you felt like you were having deja vu, or it was freaking Groundhog Day with the rubber banding, because it was really, really bad. So, I mean, they're spending a lot of time talking about this, and someone was talking about brevity and verbosity. Yeah, it takes a long time for these guys to explain stuff, but take into consideration, guys, developers, when they have to talk to each other, they cannot give the short version of stuff. They honestly have to talk in exhaustive ways so that they make sure that they're explaining everything. I know for the audience sake, it would be easier for them to change it from 20 words to 7. That would be great, but just kind of bear with it. And some of these guys aren't on here very frequently. People like Todd and other people who are on here frequently, they do it much faster, much more concise. But for the newer guys, just kind of cut them a little slack, you know.
Yeah, I guess, Griff. I mean, I'm sorry. I see this in every game.
Yeah.
There's rubber banding in every game.
Yeah.
And I guess the worst part that I had with rubber banding was always getting out of the bed.
I never had that one.
You know, because once you rubber band, you were pretty much stuck in that habitat.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate the fact that they fixed it, but I'm looking for more.
Well, I never had that happen, so maybe that only happened to people on the East Coast. I don't know. I never had that happen to me. I'm just pulling your chain. I'm just pulling your chain, man.
Imagine
we might not release something every single patch because networking is a bit of a dark arts to get right, especially with all the other tech that's coming online in terms of server meshing and so on and so forth. So
I'll tell them what they tell us.
We will definitely be seeing more improvements in the future. When those come, I can't promise, but hopefully we can find some easy wins that give us some big benefits. But that covers that.
Clive Johnson just broke out into a sweat. He's not watching the show or anything. He's just like, what happened? Who's saying what about networking?
It actually wasn't Clive. It was Gordon. So it was on the actor. It was on the actor side. So whereas Clive covers the main networking, this was on the actor networking as part of that.
Okay.
Well, thanks for throwing that guy under the bus.
Luke, the question's in the thread, but it's worded nicer in the chat, so I'm going to use the version in the chat. How do you feel about prison gameplay?
Hope you like to look at that undercarriage.
Where are we at right now?
No, come on, cut me deep. You should have used the one that's not in chat. Why isn't it still fixed? Still can't mine. Missions bug out. Equipment still vanishes. Right. There's a few issues. I think a lot of them stem from the way we give you the multi-tool. Usually, obviously, you go to a shop and it goes straight into your inventory. You don't see anything in your hand. There's no physical thing. Like we spawn you. Sorry, getting a phone call. We spawn you with the thing in your hand. We've never done that before. Tried that before. I don't think it's obviously buggy. And the new commissary machine that you go to get your multi-tool, that's the first time we've tried a vending machine. So it physically spawns it. You bend down, you pick it up, rather than it going straight into your inventory. And hopefully we hope to roll those out to the rest of the solar system as well. But when they work, it seems to be that when it spawns or when you're given it, you're losing either the end of it, the mining attachment, or you're not seeing.
Kimmy, you know about that multi-tool in prison, right? That bad fellow was jacked up.
And there's also seems to be a bug sometimes when you pick up minables, you drop the thing.
Jacked up, out, over, under.
It's such a shame because obviously the prison relies on a lot of other features, and if any one of those breaks, the whole experience kind of crumbles. And we've tried to address that by adding the one mission in there. I really want to get back in there, get some time to add some other ways to earn merit, so that you don't have to rely on all these other systems. But in a perfect world, all these other systems would always work.
We actually did a workaround.
I guess another issue is that even if you do have a really good mining session, you go to sell it at the kiosk and you can't, because those all shops in the game, I believe they attach to a specific kind of server. It's not the server you're on, it's a different one. And if that's having any troubles, then
GG, they said they're gonna come up with other ways for you to work out your way out of prison. I don't know what they mean by that, but you may not want to go to prison, GG.
you're stuck.
Boxing ring in the middle.
You're stuck for being able to get out of prison. And only like the missions would work then.
Listen.
So
okay.
Yeah, I've got there's no one answer for it. There's a lot of bugs in a lot of places on a lot of different teams, and I guess I need to really, push all of them to try and figure it out. But it's always the case that it's like, for me, I own this, and this is something that it's close to my heart. I'm frustrated about, as frustrated as everyone who's playing it. But for all the other teams, it'll be a small, tiny little piece of something that in the end all adds up to something bigger. So yeah, I'm going to chase all of these things. I mean, I saw today an issue, like tiny little issue, but with a mission, because it's a mission that anyone can accept, everyone can accept, kind of thing, and they race each other down. Like, the whole point of it was, you hopefully see other people racing past you, trying to get to it before you, and if someone gets to it first, it silently fails. So you could still be running the whole way there and not have noticed that the little bit of text at the top vanishes. So I've got Ollie fixing that one, so that you'll actually now get the kind of bigger notification at the top of the screen. But yeah, I'm on it. There's just a lot to fix in a lot of different places.
I hear you. We've touched on this topic before. Obviously, we've been talking about prisons for some time, since they were first introduced. It really is this melting pot of the work of so many different teams and so many different feature sets all coming together in one, in this sort of microcosm of the greater game. So when any one of those aspects fails,
no complaints, Luke. It's just your turn. That's all.
It's really,
we can't have our cash. We got to have something.
Richard, we threw Luke the hard one. We're going to come at you next. Only fair here. Why hasn't the issue that caused players to be unable to buy and equip magazines a priority in this patch? This issue has been a persistent problem with no workaround since 3.8, preventing player from engaging in any FPS activities. I don't think the facts are entirely like that, but you get the gist.
Magazines are a complicated facet, and why that is because the way they work now is not the way we want them to work. So the way we work now is, obviously, you have a magazine, but you don't necessarily interact with the magazine itself. You kind of interact with it on the gun level. You interact with the magazine in your PMA, but again, that's not necessarily the long-term solution. So what we want to do is that the reason why magazines are so underpinned by the PMA right now is there's no persistency in the PMA. So, for example, we can't store that you've got a partial mag or you've got partial ammo. And where we want to go in the future is really deal with it on an actual bullet level, so that you're physically stripping magazines, you're physically putting bullets in, and we've actually started a lot of work on that. And the problem that is called out is not a trivial fix to do. So what we've got to do is weigh up, like, okay, do we spend significant time trying to fix this issue,
been on video for a while,
do we try and deliver and take a little bit more time but deliver what we actually want the experience to be? And what we actually want the experience to be is obviously underpinned by
my whole thing is that really needed?
It's underpinned by physical inventory, and that fact you can pick up things.
I mean, I understand people want a real game, but do you have to have everything?
Like that level of immersion doesn't necessarily seem fun as much as it seems tedious.
Right, because I'm going to ask you to put that same thing in the medical field. Can I put a syringe in my pocket and take it out?
Exactly, like that's.
While we're in the holding pattern, one thing I want is the bugs to go away.
That's a serious. You better start rubbing that lamp, brother, if you want to get that genie to come out. That's.
The grenades. So that was something that was really close to me in terms of like the throwing that we released in 3.11. Throwing, obviously, it comes off as like it's a better throw, it's a better experience, so that's core fundamental. But one of the main reasons why I pushed for throw T1 was because you could go up to a grenade in the world and you could pick it up and you press G to throw your grenade and you drop the grenade in your hand and pick the one off your shirt. Or if you didn't have one attached to your armor or whatever, it wouldn't do anything. So there was two systems there, the carryable system and the throwing system, and they didn't talk to each other.
You put all
now,
of this, what he's
when I came on board, we kind of wanted to make sure that, and this is why Force Reactions, we're being careful, is that it's great a feature being systemic, but it needs to be systemic and talk to all the other systemic features. And so when we're talking about throwing, that means that I should be able to pick anything up and throw it. And you'll notice that we've started to add things like default item actions. So for drinking, for example, you press left mouse button, you drink. If you get a grenade, you can throw it. So we wanted to do that for magazines. We wanted to do that for medipens. So that, for example, and Luke touched on it in the prison, for example. We don't really spawn things in people's hands. This is the first way that we're delivering the common strategies with the multi-tool physically being given to you. And there are currently issues with that flow because of the way how it's set up and how it interacts with you. Because if you look at a medipen, for example, you can't pick it up and put it in your hands. You have to attach it to your suit for you to actually then use it as a medipen. Or if you store it, then you have to go into your PMA and then equip it. Whereas what we really want, and it's kind of something I've touched on before in terms of the external inventory and the physical inventory and the personal and the thought, is that you should be able to open up and be like, okay, I see my character. I can see all the items that are physically attached to him. I can manipulate those items on the fly without having to go into the PMA, because the PMA is kind of a bag of holding that won't exist in the physical inventory world. That might be a list of all the items that you do own across the universe, but it might be in your hangar or in your hab or in your ship or in this locker or somewhere else. And, you're going to have to deal with things on a player level, on a player scale. And so from a magazine perspective, to come back, full circle, it's getting the work for the magazine to be able to go in your hand. And then that's actually not just, why can't we just, carry it? It's like, okay, well, now I can take the bullets out because it's only partially full. I mean, we already have like the chamber logic on the weapons, for example. If you put a magazine in and you rack it, it takes one out of the magazines, one in the chamber. But we want the ability for you to be able to take that out. It's got 29 bullets in. I should be able to take the bullet out of the one in the chamber. I should be able to then manipulate those containers. I should be able to find ammo out on the field. If I've taken someone out, I'm like, okay, their cartridge doesn't fit my gun, but the caliber of bullets do. So I can pick up their magazine. I can strip the bullets. I can then put those bullets into the magazines that I want that are going to fit the gun that I'm using. So it's not that we don't see these problems and go, they're not important. It's that we have to weigh it up with the bigger picture of like, okay, where do we want this to be? What do we want the experience to be? Where's the best bang for buck? How are we going to deliver the best experience for the player going forward? And so that's kind of where we're at with magazines. And magazines really is just the tip of the iceberg. It's it's magazines, it's physical inventory.
Obviously you've got to give us something that's asymmetrical.
That's something that we're working on. We've got multiple teams
working on that endeavor. We'd be all over this.
It's something that we really want to push live. It's going to change how you play Star Citizen.
We're a little salty, a little
it's going to give credence to why you have some of these large ships with lots of lockers, lots of storage space. That is not just the cargo hold. That you can be like, I want to store my Caldera environment suit. I want to store my Novikov environment suit. I want to have this particular, armor or these particular weapons, and this is the loadout that I want to choose. And this is something that we've talked about as that core gameplay, that core loop of experience. It's not just you pulling the trigger, shooting the guy. It covers the preparation of what do I need to go, what do I need to take, what food do I take, what drinks do I take, what outfit am I going to use? What bullet? I mean, the grenade launcher is a good example, right? The grenade launcher right now is you can just buy 500 clips of grenade launchers and a mag, and you just keep giving yourself infinite. But in the future, you won't be able to. If you can fit 5 clips of P4AR mags on your suit,
Griff, this is one thing that I just want to stress with CIG, and I see what they're doing here, but there are several different aspects of gameplay, 4 in particular, right? You got the emergent gameplay, which is clearly in the game, pressing buttons, object containment, all that good stuff. But then you got cooperative gameplay, which they're forcing on people with putting these turrets in these areas that's allowing for, if you look at it, multiplaying, because now you just can't just fly into a space station that says, look at all this cargo I got, look at all this Laranite and that, you may get shot up prior to getting there. So you're going to need some friends. You obviously got the mode that basically is one of the real big type of multiplayer. So you got those cooperative gameplay units in there. You got some missions that allow you for cooperative gameplay. So we get that. But their biggest thing that they're missing asymmetrical gameplay, which is the opportunity for different aspects for a certain player, like maybe a medical gameplay, or maybe a troop gameplay, or maybe some type of a bridge gameplay, or an engineering gameplay. You're missing all of that. And then you're talking about non-linear, boy, good God Almighty. I mean, we're missing, because we got a game right now that's just completely linear right now. It's just you go do this mission, that's it. There's no 15 different ways to do one mission, right? So you're missing two big aspects of the game that's not allowing you to really have a very dynamic gameplay. So I understand all this stuff here, but if they can get, I mean, and maybe you can enlighten me or encourage me or even educate me on where they're trying to move towards when it comes to asymmetric gameplay. I understand that they're not trying to give you professions, or are they? That may be one thing they may want to think of, because that will provide a lot of asymmetry with that.
I think.
What do you think?
Well, to your point, I think that is part of the problem. I'm going to do a throwback here, and I think Kimmy played this game. I'm not sure if you did or not, if we talked about it. But Star Wars Galaxies, the fact that there were these variety of careers, as you just mentioned, that's what introduced those dynamics. And so
big time asymmetrical.
Right. So right now, like you said, it's very linear, because our main emphasis right now is more in the areas of the PvP area, mining, right? A little bit of cargo hauling. That's it. And so for those different things to get introduced that change those dynamics aren't there yet. Some of this also came out of Tony Zervik's piece, where he talked about NPC intervention, right? Because like you said, right now, if I want to make a cargo run somewhere, if you remember when we did the piece a couple of weeks ago on the whole thing with Quantum, he talked about how there would be that random pirate thing that may stop in, or maybe when you're on your way to do something, you get a beacon that tells you, hey, you need to stop here and do something. All that randomizing isn't there yet. And so you're absolutely right. Right now, it's just from point A to point B, maybe a point C, with the new cargo delivery systems where they've got it where you deliver 3 boxes now instead of 1. But in a big universe, what are those things that interact in that area that start slowing things down? So, I mean, the other day I was joking around with you about how we took the 100 series and we flew like 60 million kilometers and never had to stop. Well, one of the reasons why that's bad, even though that's very cool, but one of the reasons why that's bad is for me to take a Series 100 ship and fly almost 70 million kilometers or whatever it was without having to stop for gas means that I don't have any interactions. Yep. But when you pull back on that and say, I've got to stop at maybe 2 R&Rs on the way, now you introduce the possibility of maybe at one of those R&Rs, Kimmy is sitting there waiting on a guy like me who he knows needs to stop and get fuel, right? Or you're waiting for me saying, hey, I need somebody to help me with something. So those interactions are not built in yet. But I agree with you 100%. That's what's missing, because it would enhance gameplay.
Correct. And the other thing on that one is, I mean, maybe they're picking and choosing, because when you bring in ships like the Cutlass Blue, and we still got people still waiting on their batons.
Yeah.
And things like that, in terms of that could have brought in gameplay. You bring in a ship like a Cutlass Red, and you don't have, I mean, so it's like they're saying, okay, we're here these ships, but we're not going to give you the gameplay for it. I'm not worried about the mechanics for the ship yet. Okay, I'm fine with that. But at least if you're going to pick and choose, throw in some gameplay, just the same reason you sat there and said, well, we need to go ahead and throw in these turrets because we need to give you something in terms of whatever it was they were talking about, like law enforcement or something like that. Okay, great. You do got a law enforcement ship, but you got no way to be a law enforcer. You got a medical ship, but you got no way to be a medic.
Right.
So other than waking up from the bed. So I just think they could increase their priorities a little bit by just throwing some things, some ideas into fruition, and then improving on those ideas. Just throw them out there and just put them in a game.
That's a good point. Jade, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Jade, is there any particular gameplay that you'd like to see introduced into the game at this point?
Yeah, there's one thing that's really basic, and I think it would touch on like all the different professions, if you want to call them that, or areas of the game, whether it's PvP or mining or whatever. So like we have a mining scanner, right? But we don't have something that can like scan for like structures, or for like you guys probably tried to find that fruit. You can't just scan for that, right? Or maybe like a signature of a player. Like, you've seen so many sci-fis where you can scan and you get, there's a heat signature of a player somewhere. Like that right there, if they could just add that, I think that would, bring another dimension to the game.
Jade, you almost took my thunder when you said fruit. I'm gonna say low hanging fruit. And when you look at the different acts, when you look at all the aspects of the gameplay, and they have a good, not an excuse, but a good reason why you can't bring it in right away, such as salvage, because you need the materials for that, right? Now, as I said, the low hanging fruit in that universe right now is refueling. That could just be something where you just, get close to the ship and you transfer the fuel. It's not so much of a thing where you need other materials to make the gameplay work, like salvage. You need a ship graveyard or something of that nature, or medical. You need the machinery. You need to have the person hurt and show the injury. So you need other catalysts and other components that'll make that gameplay work. But with refueling, it's the low hanging fruit right there, fellas. You can get that in there to change that dynamic to create more interaction, and then all of a sudden you got pirates hijacking people right there at the moment. Like, hey, this is a stick up. You catch them right there where they're transferring their fuel and everything, and then you have this dynamic. Well, I got a Cutlass Blue. I'm going to police this area. I'm going to escort you guys. Then you have the incoming of more interaction just to get things jump started. The easy, low hanging fruit.
And that's all I'm talking about, Kimmy. You hit it right. You hit the nail right on the head. If you're going to add a ship, then give something to a player that's going to be able to use the functionality, that's going to help with the functionality of that ship as a starter, as a basis.
Yeah.
And that will help you with your asymmetric gameplay.
That's one of the things that we've been talking about for CIG is if whatever you introduce at this point, it should be something that is functional. We were saying that earlier about the C2, right? So don't put a ship in the game, but all you can do is just carry cargo at this point. Anything that we see coming, because and Kimmy's point was well made with the Cutlass Blue. I was really hoping that with the law system, because we kind of saw them building on that with the law system in prisons, this whole surrender thing, that would be one of the next mechanics that we would see come in. That now when you do go bounty hunting, even if it's just an NPC, that there's this aspect of being able to arrest, take them to the prison, whatever the case may be. I believe that if they opened up the hospitals, if they made it in such a way that there would be people who would hang out at the hospitals and you pay them to heal you or whatever the case may be. We talked about that in Star Wars Galaxies. There were careers that people took on that why would somebody want to spend time making clothing, or why would somebody spend time healing people? There are people that's all they want to do. There were people who hung out in the cantina and just danced for 8 hours, and that was all they wanted to do.
And Griff, you're absolutely right. Like I'm gonna give you a great example on what they're choosing to put in game. How many? They talked about magazines, but how many medical magazine clips do you see in the game?
Oh yeah.
They talked about putting everything else in the game, but you got a police vehicle in the game, but you got no baton that you promise people that you're gonna go ahead and put in, or something basic, or even your hospital. You talk about hospital, and that could also go into with uniforms. You could put in a base uniform for that type of vehicle, a nurse's outfit, a police outfit. Just one quest, and then it didn't evolve from that. So it baffles me how they have the opportunity to go ahead and make it better right off the start, and they find some reason not to put that in there at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. Not going to be able to fit 5 grenade mags. They'll because they physically won't fit. It'll have to be that you'll only be able to take a certain amount of ammo, and that will dictate. Okay, I'm gonna take, maybe I want to take an Animus for ground to air combat. Well then, okay, that's a lot of space, right? What other gun are you taking? How many magazines are you going to be wanting to take in terms of, and that's why we're going. I've touched on this before in terms of the different archetypes of the armors, how they should have real benefit, real differences across the board. And right now they're not where we want them to be, both from a damage mitigation and an archetype in terms of their role, but the magazine issue itself is a symptom, and we want to fix the root cause. We don't want to treat, within reason. Obviously, if it's something that is, really bad, then we need to spend time in fixing it, and absolutely we will do that. But in this case, there are, we have to weigh up. It's like, it's a non-trivial fix due to persistency and all the other issues. Then, so we have to weigh that up against everything else, and fundamentally, we make those decisions to make the game that we all want to play. So,
I also have a small addition to that. We fixed a bug for 311B. That's basically people that had previously kind of bought a ton of magazines weren't able to access it, and so we fixed that bug. On to the next questions.
Okay. Is that fixed? Is that in the live 311 now, or is it coming in an updated patch?
That's coming in the 311B.
Okay.
I got a quick survey. I got to ask this question, and we'll let the video run. When you guys buy ammo, do you buy what you need, or do you buy what you need? And what I mean by that is, do you go in and say, oh, I'll get 8 of these, 7 of these, or do you say, wow, I can carry 85 of these suckers. Let me get all 85. I'm curious as to what people do. If you guys want to put that in chat.
I buy what I need.
You buy what you need?
You good, Kimmy.
I get something in the middle. Like, I don't buy them all, but I buy more than I need.
Okay, Kelosal, what do? You buy the store out?
Jade and Kimmy, y'all are just wonderful
like
people.
Them.
Because I do the latter.
Them. No, I'm like them. I only buy like maybe 10
I will buy
8.
it all. Because the idea is I'm going to force the industry. See, if I'm going to be able to make be able to provide the supplies to be able to make them, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to go ahead and sell the supplies that's going to require you to make it.
Icash going to break you out of that habit.
I say it means the case shoot. That's what
He's going to be standing around. I think it means look at him, Death of the Spaceman. Ooh, look at all that booty you got on him. Grab it.
I mean, they haven't allowed us to sell it back yet. So, but yeah, I usually go in. I'm sorry, I'm one of those ones. I'm one of those ones that'll go in and say, okay, 65, click.
Yeah. That's why it is. That's why there's never no med pens when you go in the Porto. Y'all be buying up all that stuff. That's what's.
I'm getting the baddest weapon.
Okay.
Probably shouldn't have said that because they're probably gonna be looking for Colossus.
Nihilus is talking about you. Nihilus is talking about you right now in chat. All right, here we go, guys.
Todd, why do bounty hunters still have the God marker on player targets?
Sorry.
Luke can answer that one.
Money.
Trying to give Luke a break.
Years ago now, we tried having it turn off when they left monitored zones, but everyone thought it was a bug. When I quite rightly, I guess, especially at that point, missions were quite buggy, and some of them still are. But it was like if they accepted the mission and then didn't immediately get a marker, they assumed it was broken, and there wasn't the backup feedback there to say, no, actually you do have to hunt as a bounty hunter, but there wasn't enough feedback for them to even hunt. They just had to hope that they were going to come onto the into a monitor zone, which eventually most players do, but an AI wouldn't. If an AI was spawned somewhere where, say, the comm array was turned off, then you just would never know about it. So that's why right now, the God marker is on. It's on all the time. Now next year, at some point, we'll be looking at Bounty Hunter V2, as a proper career. But between then and now, I really want to. I've already got some, things underway to hopefully allow us to not only just have that marker on when things are in a monitored zone, but to kind of say, give you the last known position of it when it went off or went out of the monitored zone, so you can read into that things. Like if you were there when he jumped away, you'll get a really good idea of where he went. And hopefully, I've just talked to my coder about this. It seems all possible that we can even add on there the time, how long it's been since that he was at that marker. Now that's going to make bounty hunting, I think, maybe impossible if these guys stay at Grim Hex all the time, or stuff like Levski. So it's something I still we're going to test internally and see if it is actually, if it adds anything to it. But the direction we're going in for bounty hunting as a career, like there'll be all these things that the bounty does that gives his position away, and it will really mean you end up you feel like you're on the run, like just like in real life, like all these.
Or you feel like you're on the hunt.
Oh, I'm talking about, like, say the bounty feels like he's on the run as well, like, because he can give himself away if he does the wrong things, like like kind of the TV show's version of it where they triangulate your position if you're on the phone for too long and stuff. You can imagine how we could do that with a mobiGlas, or certain things like when you buy something in a shop, or if you decide to park your ship properly, like that might give you away. So you have to start living life like, okay, I have to just get out of my ship without parking it properly, float over. I have to buy something and then run away quickly, get in my ship and leave, because I've just put a kind of marker down on that position that my bounty hunters will be heading towards. But at the same time, give the bounty hunters enough information so that they can maybe see a pattern. Like, this player always tends to head back here after doing, going to Yellow. What are they doing there? Are they selling the stuff they steal in the asteroid belt? That kind of thing. So I think that answers the God marker thing. But, like it's because we don't have all these other things. If I just turn off that marker, you'll be lost. You'll assume it's a bug. There's a lot more got to back that up to allow you to hunt.
Sticking to the topic of player markers, but on the flip side, since 3.11 dropped, whenever this person plays with another player or group, they never see the party markers and they can't see mine. Is this an intentional change, or is this a bug, or what's going on?
It's a bug. We know about it. We're trying to fix it. It might not be fixed. Well, I know it's not fixed for 3.11b. So. But it's something that we are trying to fix and trying to get to the root of. But I think before, it's been happening for the past year, and one of our coders took quite a long time looking at it and trying to get to the root of the problem, but wasn't able to get to it. So they're going back to it. See.
Following up on strange and annoying
dropped
bugs.
a new patch today.
When this person dies, they're finding that they lose everything in their leg armor, but keep everything in the backpack or torso. Can we assume this is also a bug to be resolved?
It depends if they took an arrow to the knee. But yes.
Should have done leg day, dude.
Exactly.
Don't skip leg day.
Yeah, that it's a bug. Whether it's leg storage, whether it's backpack, whether it's chest storage, it should all be treated the same. So it's a bug, and we need to look into it. I mean, just touching on storage itself. Obviously, we have introduced leg, chest, and backpack storage. Currently, the backpack is kind of welded onto the core. That when you go and buy it, the intention is long term that you'll be able to take the backpack off, so you'll be able to put the backpack, and you'll be able to buy different backpacks for different suits that have different functionality. So the current method of the backpack that's live, while it's cool that it's showing you the direction we're moving towards to give you that level of granularity. Obviously, eventually when we add more gameplay related clothing and things, then you can have like concealed things, but for now it's a bug, and we'll look into it. Well, okay. We are looking into it, shall I say.
Right. With each patch, there are usually a series of smaller improvements that don't quite make the patch notes sometimes. It's been mentioned in a couple places on Spectrum that 3.11 is no different. What can you tell us about any of the small improvements that maybe aren't detailed in the patch notes?
Well, I mean, it varies from server
just the fact that they said that they were going to do that.
Just quality of life, experiences on the features. basically we have a label internally that Rich, myself, John Crew, Sean use as gameplay experiences, and those range from critical bugs to all the way down to moderate bugs that, you know, or trivial ones, and anything that negatively affects
this is what
I mean, this is where you got to pay attention to the end game. Like, for example,
is deemed, you know,
I was
like
flying around in the Gladius today,
so,
and the cockpit kept opening back up. And as the cockpit kept opening back up, I finally flew in the atmosphere, which I should have died, by the way. Yeah. But you could hear the wind coming into the cockpit. That's another one of those points that this the person that brought up that question was talking about in terms of things that are being done that are not being put on the patch notes. I mean, there's a lot of audio, just
a lot of quality of life stuff.
Like I said, they said this several years ago, I believe, that they said that they were going to put out fixes without having to have a major patch, or are you experiencing any types of downloading of major patches like they did back in the past. Part of that is just being observant, guys. Go out there and play the game, not just to play the game, because you're still trying to help them develop it. Just test the sound effects. Check and see if you got a new sound effects for your vehicle. Check and see if you got a new lighting effect for your vehicle. There's a lot of new lighting, especially on the mole. So and a lot of other ships that I haven't named, but check it out.
Jay, to your point, Kay, I experienced something today, and I had to drop a workaround to the issue council regarding the auroras, all of them. If you look at the canopy at the top, and you look in the cockpit, it's too low. And so, if you're delivering or making a cargo run of 3 cargo boxes or more, inadvertently, sometimes that cargo box will go to the front near the box. And each and every time, if that avatar raises his leg up to step over it, he will crash into the object container streaming between outside the ship and inside the ship. And all of a sudden, he pops up and he's standing on top of the cockpit.
Yep. And
I said that the solution to that, they have to drop the floor, so then you have more headroom in the canopy of the cockpit. And that will eliminate that bug, because then you're not colliding with the object container streaming system.
That's a big request.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's what would need to happen. Or they need to get the cargo boxes to go underneath the Aurora.
Like they're supposed to
go. Yeah,
right, like they're supposed to, or get rid of the bed and build a variant that can use that as a cargo area instead of the bed.
Instead of the bed.
It's the floor, because the
but
cargo sometimes have something to do with it, but sometimes when you're scooching around to the front, the avatar, sometimes he'll get real close and he starts jittering.
That's tight.
And then he'll pop them right up. And that's even if you're on the ground, or you're flying in the air, or you're quantum. And you don't want that to happen in quantum.
Yeah.
Jade, have you seen any improvements since you've been in 3.11?
It seems a little smoother.
Frame rates, we talked about,
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it seems minor, but I know a lot of people have been wanting that, so I don't think it's minor, but yeah, I think, you know, that's an improvement. One thing you talked about lights. I think by and large they need to make a lot of the lights on vehicles brighter. Like you see in some of the ship commercials, you'll see like a spotlight. And then, you know, you're in the PU and you're like, you have this light that's like all dim, you can barely see, you know. Not all ships are like this, obviously. There's some that do have some pretty bright lights, but I think across the board they need to do a lighting pass on all the ships so that, you know, that they have decent lighting, outside lights.
Yeah, we were out earlier this evening trying to look for Benny Hinge, and both Kelosal and I were in Gladiuses, and the lights don't work on it, you know. So we were having like a real hard time.
It worked on mine.
Okay. Well, they didn't work on mine, so I guess maybe because mine was a loner. Mine was a loner. Maybe that's why it wasn't working. But there are several ships like that where lights aren't even working, let alone. You're right, Jade. I know on the Cutlass Red, with that ship being a search and rescue vehicle, I would expect that the beam on that would be a little bit even more intense than what it is. It's pretty strong, but I still think when you've gone to some of the planets where we have a lot of the heavy atmosphere or very dark, that light should penetrate like a good distance.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree with you 100% on that. Let's see if we can
Great
chop through the
point.
last of this and get to the end of this video so we can watch our machinima and enjoy ourselves.
We've gave that some love, so the missiles are a bit more effective. So
it's too dark.
There's a lot of weapons in the game that need to be improved upon, and that goes across, and also in terms of the responsiveness of the character. So a big initiative that we're pushing on is what I'd call it's called action queuing. So for example, let's say if you're holding down sprint and then you press the left mouse button to start firing your automatic weapon, if you release firing, your character should continue to sprint because you've kept holding down sprint. So I think right now there's a few areas where it doesn't, the actions don't necessarily flow together with how you're controlling your character. And that's something we've really, really delved deep on. We've got some really, really good significant changes in terms of how because a lot of people, when they think the character's clunky, they can be like, oh, it's the unified rig or this and that. And it's lots of things. It's something that is performance plays a big part in it. Networking in terms of the desync plays a big part in it. Animation in just terms of animation frames, in terms of the speed of animations, how those animations transition to each other plays a big part in it. How the controls respond to you, or how your character responds to your controls directly in terms of, can you just get into a good flow where how you press things? So, what actions should interrupt other actions, and what actions should the game remember that you've pressed this button so that it triggers it immediately as you've finished it. So for example, if you're mid vault and you press the reload, the game should remember that when you land that you can immediately do the reload, and so that your character is an extension of you, that it flows a lot better. And those are not necessarily bugs. They're not just things that you can just throw to an engineer and say, oh, can you just fix this piece of code because it's a bit bad, it's not doing what it's intended. Those are things that we're really focused on and looking at. And we have some really big initiatives that we're driving with both in the PU and on Squadron and in Theatres of War that we want to. And to be honest, that's one of the big things that has helped us on this side of things with Theatres of War. It's allowed us to focus that feedback and focus those improvements so that we've got a really good test bed that we can just push live, and then that it has massive benefits for the PU. So it's like Todd said, it's not only bugs and things in terms of that, but it's also looking back at the features we have released, like throw, for example, and how we can keep striving. No one is going to settle for second best.
But I mean, what Rich is talking about goes through all the teams. Like all the teams have their own initiatives to look at and fix and make sure that the work that they worked on it is actually good and is up to snuff and nothing's rotted or anything like that. That's the goal for those teams, is to be able to work through future features, but also taking a look in the past and saying this has got to be better.
Several questions have come in about the delivery missions and how several types of delivery missions have been seemingly removed in 3.11, including the long hauling between planets. What do we have to say about that?
Well, I'll let Luke talk on this one as well, but for me, because it comes down to my direction on this. So it's really the way that we're rebuilding them and kind of adjusting them. So the way that I talked to the guys is we wanted to make sure that we have local ones working first, and then from there we go to interplanetary, and then obviously once we open Pyro, then we go interstellar. So that was basically my direction to the guys, and then Luke can talk through any of the other adjustments as well if he wants.
Okay. Yeah. We knew we had to make it modular. We had to rewrite the delivery missions to work with the upcoming kind of dynamic mission system. Like, it's not using it right now, but in future, you'll be paid.
It's built to use it though.
Yeah, the missions are built to use it. They're made so that you can pick the game can pick an item and then figure out where that item wants to go. Because the places have these, they produce and consume things. You can also you'll be able to say like how far away, how difficult is this mission? How do you go to one planet and then just deliver to its moons, or do you have to deliver like 3 packages to 3 different planets? How dangerous are those places? How dangerous is the package? Is it a timed package? That kind of thing. But we had to start, simply. And first, like Todd got us to look at like real world logistics, and try and emulate those, because, I mean, you said the word hauling in the question, right? And no one hauls one small box, like. No, unless it's in a really, really valuable or necessary piece that must be delivered, this one box in time across from one planet to another. That doesn't work out. It's not efficient, right? So having so many of these missions where you just carry some grain, from one planet to another, one box at a time, it doesn't make sense. And I do appreciate that. Okay, what it represents is kind of a hauling mission, even though it's just that one box. I do understand that. But we started on this kind of local. You're a guy who collects like 3 boxes at a time. Even now, it's still not entirely correct. Like we would want you to pick up 3 boxes or drop off 3 boxes at somewhere that makes sense, like a rest stop. But the rest stops don't have, like, they're not fun right now. They need a new location. They're not fun for collecting like 3 boxes and put them on your ship one at a time. We need a location nearer to your ship to do that. So imagine you have that. You pick up those boxes from like a depot, somewhere like a rest stop, and then you scatter those boxes. You drop them off at outposts. Then it starts to make sense.
It's more like a post office delivery person or a bike messenger kind of thing. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And then obviously for the interplanetary and interstellar ones, then you're starting to get into more like the cargo ships or the larger logistics.
Well, I hope that idea is implemented when quantum come in.
Missions where you take one box, to a different planet, but this is going to be timed. You have to get this there. This is important.
Think of like a heart transplant or something like that.
Yeah.
So these are changes ahead of future changes.
Yep.
All right. We have got a little less than 3 minutes left, so we're going to do some lightning round. Richard, you're going to struggle with this. Shortest possible answers on these. So let's try to touch
answers at the start.
Let's try to touch as many of these as possible as we can. Let's see. How come we still don't have drop shadow for chat or it getting brighter depending on the scene? I thought we had this, but it doesn't seem to work all the time.
We're still working on it.
Okay. What do you think of the new grenade launcher meta you've created?
Yeah, I'm going to struggle with that, I'm sure. Grenade launcher is where it is right now, but physical damage will change everything. So it is a representative weapon in terms of
flash
grenades
damage.
Are explosive and they do lots of damage. But yeah, it won't be like that forever.
Okay. If I use the new grenade system to throw against the wind, should it give me my grenade back?
Not right now.
Okay. With the removal of the hidden drug terminals in 3.11, it doesn't look like we can sell Slam anywhere anymore. Is this intentional or is this coming back?
I'm going to get on that because, it's because we regenerated the rest stops, and I think those kiosks, which personally didn't like, I think they need to be more inside a shop or a shady shop.
They should be a person.
Yeah, exactly.
You're selling it to a person, not to a kiosk.
But we have locations like the salvage yards and the stash houses, which I think just need to be able to buy this stolen stuff. So I'll check into that.
Okay. Can the new turrets on stations have signs with their updated turret kill counts?
No.
This many served. In 3.11, stationary turrets, like the ones placed at stations and bunkers, cannot be tracked by auto gimbal. This was possible in 3.10. Is this a bug or is this a change to the way targeting works?
Bug.
Okay. What feature of Alpha 3.11 are you most proud of, and why?
Go ahead.
How do you feel?
I'm going to say three things.
How do you feel?
I'm going to say throw, external inventory, and force reactions.
Okay.
What we managed for the armistice zones, like there's a lot more to do, but I think especially like the heat system is promising. Yeah, that, and what else did I do? We finally figured out how climate works, so you won't get any planets that are like 2,000 degrees or absolute zero.
Yet. How about you, Todd?
Why not? Absolute zero. That's a travesty.
The way that the stations are laid out now. Very proud of the team doing that. And then I personally, the force reaction system, that one has been, I've been talking about it since I was in charge of Star Marine. So like, it's good to finally have that.
All right. So that's it. That's it for our show. Thank you so much, guys. I know we all have meetings that we have to get to, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Todd, for taking your time out at the end of your week to do this. We are going to throw the raid over to Sigelian. Sigelian is a Canadian streamer who's celebrating his 3-year stream anniversary. I understand he's probably watching this and restreaming.
As always, those are always tough to navigate through SCLs, but they're informative. But yeah, you have to have a lot of energy to push through them. There was something that some of you guys may remember a little while back. They showed us these new containers. Does anybody remember that? The new cargo containers? There were 3 of them. There was time-sensitive containers, damage-sensitive containers, and quantum-sensitive containers. Do you guys remember that at all?
Yeah.
No.
You don't remember that. Okay.
I knew the quantum had timing on it. It would blow up on you.
Yeah.
Quantanium.
Quantanium.
Right? Is that the name of it?
Mineral?
No. This is
not a deposit.
This is actually a container, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up very quickly for you guys and let you see it. There were 3 containers that they showed us. And a lot of people missed this. I think they thought it was just kind of pictures. Give me 1 second here. I hope I bring up the right one.
No.
Is that it? Yep, that's it there. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right.
I don't recognize that.
Okay, this one.
I remember that.
Yeah, this one here is the. Let me read it real quick to make sure. This is the one that's time sensitive. This one here is damage sensitive, and that one there is quantum sensitive. And this is one of the reasons why I've always felt that that cargo is going to become the next big thing that we're dealing with, beyond just the fact that the cargo decks are being built. But the fact that they're starting to move into these things that, as you said earlier, Kelosal, start giving us a different aspect of gameplay. This one, obviously, with Quantanium, we know what the deal is with that. It's volatile and time. This one says damage sensitive, though. So I don't know if this means that if you get it there and the stuff is ruined, you don't get paid, or whatever the case may be. In game. Exactly, especially now. You're right, Kimmy, with this whole thing with the physics and moving the ship around and getting banged around. Maybe something that cannot, it's fragile, basically.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Yep. And then you've got this one up here, which is time sensitive, whatever that may be. And that could be a medical run, like when people do transplants for organs and stuff. There's only so much time you have for it.
Real. Or Quantanium.
Well, Quantanium could be, but
Quantanium is time sensitive, right?
That's what this is. But that's what this one down here is. This bottom one is the Quantanium one. If you
more
do the
refined.
save on them, those are Quantanium cells. So my point is that you were saying earlier, how did we start introducing other things into parts of the game that do exist? And so if they start bringing this in, and I'm glad you remembered it, Jay, because when this caught my eye when I first saw it, I'm like, what the heck is this glowing thing? And I started looking up at it, and I'm like, whoa, they're coming up with this whole new thing now, instead of just these boxes. But now you've got some purpose for why you want to do some delivery.
Reward.
Yeah, it's just something to think about that maybe they'll be introducing into the game. I don't know if anybody else did get a chance to see that in chat, but yeah, you can go back. That was in our newsletter, and it's on the website under the monthly report for, I'm trying to get all the way to the top, sorry, August of 2020. So just a couple months ago. So go back and take a look at that. There's some information in there, but that was a part of the monthly report with him talking about enhancing cargo. Okay, well, we're about to almost wrap up. We've got a very short machinima. You guys know we always try to highlight a machinima from someone in the community. I will put the information in chat. Jade, we'd love to have you stick around. If you got time, you can give us your thoughts on this one. I'd never seen this particular one, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it, but it's called UEE and Me.
What? Turn down your damn music. Nah, dude, you were supposed to navigate our jump to the training port, and this isn't it.
Dignan!
Sir!
Where the hell are you? You were due at the training space 30 minutes ago.
We're almost there, actually. I think we're here.
Bullshit. If you get yourself lost, I'm gonna PT your sorry ass back to hell.
Sir!
And watch that new recruit. I shouldn't even trust you guys with him after what happened last time.
Sir, I had no idea that chimpanzees could be that malicious. They are fierce creatures. Was that a transmission from Hopper? No, that was just my dad. He's gay now, I guess. It's a whole story. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, I got a shortcut to the training port. If you guys want to follow me, we're just gonna do a quick one of these. Turn around. Yeah. Come on. God damn it. Come on, Davey.
Ow! I feel good. Okay.
Unlucky, thank you for the subscription.
Wait, guys, hold on.
Oh boy. Okay, Davey, turn your nose a bit. That is perfect. Wow, you are taking forever. Oh, you're all mixed up, buddy. Oh, O-Face, he's mixed up. Remember that time you mixed up private parts with that Banu? Dude, shut up. The one that you got off with your mouth? You told me it was female, you ass. Yeah, I didn't tell you to go suck your Jago. I didn't suck. I saw you. I saw the fucking MySpace part. I don't even have a MySpace. You were in that closet for a solid. You played 7 minutes in heaven. You were in there for like a solid. Oh!
Now that I have your attention, let me introduce myself. I'm Captain Hardwick, the leader of Crescent Moon, and I'm taking these remaining Auroras from you UEE scum, unless you want to end up like your buddy there.
No way, Captain Harddick. Ain't gonna happen. Alright, Harddick, it's all you, man. You idiot!
It's Hardwick, you little shits, and fine with me. Today's special will be 1 Aurora just right, and 1 Aurora overcooked. Roast 'em!
Take it, you son of a bitch! He told me to get out! Oh God, Crescent Moon, are you seriously this retarded? Oh my God, this is easier than punching a baby. What, you get your face rearranged? Fuck! I'm gonna work on my one-liners. No time for that, though. I gotta be the hero. I'm the Chris Pratt of the story. Here I come, O-Face!
Diggin', where are you, dude?
Hard dig, more like soft dig, because you have erectile dysfunction.
Wow! Wow!
Well, I appreciate the rescue there, Dignan, as dumb as it was. Oh, look, the other Cutlass. We're dead.
Dude, we're fine. We're like Macaulay before Michael Jackson.
Wait. That station up ahead. Dignan, I have an idea. If we set our self-destruct, we jump our ships, the blast... It might blast us there, man.
You know what? Actually, after hearing all this, we're fucked.
Dude, it's our only hope.
All right, fine. Michael's got 2 cases dismissed. I can handle this.
Yeah, he's completely lost.
Shit, my foot! It's just my foot. Oh, wait, my dick's gone.
We did it. Good job, buddy. That Cutlass could be anywhere, man. We gotta get down to that station. Come on.
Honestly, I'm happy I'm still alive. Let's fucking go.
Let's go dig these guys. Oh my God, this is so bad. First day out and we have Crescent Moon on our ass. We gotta run, we gotta hide.
No, you know what, O-Face? Fuck that.
Oh God, don't get all Rambo-y.
We gotta Mel Gibson and Braveheart this shit, alright?
Okay, let it all out.
I am a man. We're going after those motherfuckers.
Fine.
Let's go.
I'm gonna die anyway.
Let's rock this shit.
Huh? Oh, I knew it.
Ah, shit.
Oh my God, this guy's just shed himself. Look at it. Fucking stinks. Keep moving. Shit. Huh? Bollocks. Trick.
Shit. O-Face.
Yeah.
Did I shit my pants?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Nah, someone shit my pants. That's not mine.
That was a nice little attack that he did.
All right, Jade, want to give us a review, 1 to 5 stars, 5 stars being at the top. What do you think?
I would put this at a definite strong 4.
Okay.
The editing was extremely well done. The camera work was well done, especially considering that was 2.5, 2.6, what they had to use at the time. Like, Yeah, it was not bad. The acting wasn't cringe. It was okay. Some of it was funny. So yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Cool. Kimmy, what about you? How'd you like it?
I totally agree with Jade. It was really good editing and had a lot of comedic elements to it, but well put together.
Yeah, this was put together in 2017. Kimmy, how does it look to you? Does it look, not Kimmy, I'm sorry, Kelosal. Does it look like it's progressed a little bit to you graphically? I forgot about those grenades that used to be in Korea up on the second level. Somebody whipped out. Kelosal, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Jade and the consensus. I thought it was quite interesting, especially the editing. Kind of comical, especially at the end. I mean, my mom's a nurse, so I've seen it when a lot of people who are in that last stage of their life, they tend to expel certain discharges. And when he did that, it basically caused the guys to just look the other way instead of finishing him off, so it was interesting to see that. Well done.
Yeah, I think the little bit of the humor that was in there was great. And again, one of the reasons why we like showing these is because it does let us go back and look at the development of the game and how things have progressed in as far as the graphics and sound and everything else. And I think they did a pretty good job in 2017 for that. Nice little short story, 10 minutes long. We did drop the link in there for you guys, so definitely check it out. It was made by O-Face. And there's only about 1,600 views on that, and that's been out for 3 years. So you guys give them a shout, give them a thumbs up, because it was really great. Something just entertaining to see all the talents and people that are able to throw together these little storylines in Machinima for Star Citizen. So that's it. All right. Well, we are going to do a raid, but before we do, we want to tell Jade, thank you. Jade, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Awesome, Jade.
We really, really appreciate it. You didn't get to say the secret word, which is...
Oh, damn.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mercury Star Runner.
Well, you know what? Because you were so cool and hung out with us for the entire show, I want you to write to us at soulcitizens@gmail.com, and you let us know your RSI email and which one of the Series 100 ships, and you are going to be our winner because you hung in there with us.
Oh gosh, thank you.
So you can definitely send us that email. Soul
is
Citizens
that all
with
one
an S.
word?
Yep, all one word with an S at the end. SOL Citizens with an S @gmail.com. And we will get that out to you because we appreciate the fact that you hung out with us. So we want to encourage our viewers. You guys come in like Jay. Don't be afraid. Come in, share your thoughts. We love the reason why this show is here, unlike our Sunday show, is because we want to hear from you guys. We don't want you to listen to us because you can listen to us on Sundays, but we really want to hear what you guys have to say about Star Citizen and the development. So, that's it.
Who's Jade's favorite manufacturer?
Oh,
we never
good question.
found that out.
Origin.
Oh.
It's gotta be.
She's
it's the only
always
manufacturer that looks like it's a ship that comes from the 30th century. Like.
Always welcome here, Jade. Always welcome. Feel free to drop in anytime you'd like. Because there are some Origin haters. Not that these two are Origin haters, but we've got a few Origin haters. J2, I'm talking about you if you're still out there. We've got some Origin haters out there. So feel free to stand proudly with us, us Origin owners, because we love that ship. Let's see. So other than that, that's it. Kelosal, thanks for hanging in here tonight. Kimmy, as always, we appreciate you being here. Kimmy will be on this Sunday. I don't know who else is on. Oh, we have a guest. Parzival, yes, from Channel 27 is going to be, and Vector27.org is going to be joining us this week. We're on Starships, our series we've been doing on ships, and this week is going to be fighter ships. Kelosal, I would have invited you, but I know you got to have a busy weekend, but I know you into the fighter ships thing, but I know Kimmy knows about it. I know Pars. I forget who else is on schedule for this weekend, so that's going to be our subject for this Sunday. Other than that, thank you guys for hanging out. We're going to see who we're going to raid. Let's see. It looks like we're going to be raiding Hangry Sarah. Let me get that typed in for you guys. All right, here we go. So when you guys get over to see Hangry Sarah, give her a shout. Say hi to her. Follow her if you're digging what she's doing. She's in Star Citizen right now. And other than that, that's about it. It's been a long night, but thank you guys for hanging with us throughout the evening. We really appreciate you. Hopefully we'll see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, we'll say love, peace, and soul. You guys have a good night.
FNL.